to the senior council. We also have an interest on issues to be raised by the witness before us, and the evidence to be tested is very vast because there are many people who came after General mkhwanazi, and some discredited his evidence, some corroborated with his evidence. So there are many issues which we have noted. So I want to appeal to the senior counsel and his team that they should not treat today's proceedings similarly to other proceedings that we have held before. May they allow members more time because there's a lot of us, Chair, and we're only given 30 minutes and they get hours. So I believe that amongst themselves, they can collectively agree on how they can best summarize their session. So that is my kind plea, Chair, that at least we give them between now and 1:30. And then when we come back, we give an opportunity to members. It's a kind plea. Thank you very much.
Okay. There is the proposal there. What is the take of Honorable Sangoni on that proposal?
Thank you so much, Chair. Chair, our attitude has always been that we shouldn't make the issue relating to time to reign supreme, whilst actually compromising the quality of the work that we ought to do. So our proposal would be that let's run until 1:30. Then at 1:30, we then gauge how far they have gone. But I think they've listened to the plea from members that at least they must be able to squeeze themselves in. Then at 1:30 or at 2:00 when we come back, we can gauge how much time then we'll allocate them further from 2 p.m. Thank you, Chair.
The DA. Honorable Breitenbach.
We have no objection to the proposal, Chair.
The EFF.
Agreed to the proposal, Chair.
The PA. Honorable Sols.
Chair, already we as members are seeking more time, and I think it is not correct for the evidence leaders to have the posture that they have ample time. So if we are expected to be disciplined and manage our time, the same should apply to the evidence leader. My position is they have until lunchtime, until 3 or 4.
Okay.
Lunchtime, we come back and then we start. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Vessels.
Thank you, Chairperson. Agree with the proposal. Let's not waste further time. Let's continue.
Okay. Honorable James.
We agree with the proposal. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. Advocate Aaron said the overwhelming feeling is that let's do everything until 1:30. So I'm going to restrict my members not to interject you so that you are able to trot until that time. Thank you so much. Good luck to you and General mkhwanazi.
Thank you, Chair. General mkhwanazi, since you were last here, we asked you whether there was anything that you may have neglected to say or couldn't say or did say that you may wish to address before we commence proceedings today. And one of those issues related to an allegation you made that money was paid by Mr. Madlala to Minister Cele. Do you recall that evidence that you gave here when you first appeared?
That's correct, Chair.
Yeah, and you will also recall that immediately after, I think it was during the course of General Cele's evidence, you contacted me and you you indicated that you wanted to make a correction and you apologized and conveyed that to the committee. You recall that?
That's correct, Chair.
Okay, now you have deposed to an affidavit where you do indeed retract that allegation, and you give an explanation why you have done so. Honorable Chair, if I may just hand up the affidavit. Have we got the original somewhere? I think electronic copy. Sorry. The original copies with parliamentary staff, and I think the electronic copy has been has been uploaded. So, General, perhaps if you have a copy in front of you, or you can perhaps just discuss it fairly briefly, if possible.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. I had made a contact with the senior counsel just before Gerald Cele was led into his testimony last year, and I retracted something that I had responded to one of the members that had asked me a question with regard to the communication between General Cele as well as Vusmut Madlala. Honorable Chair, subsequent to that, I deposed of an affidavit which I think came to Parliament dated the 24th of October, where I was it 24th October, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, 24th October 2025. I think there's a typing error here on my statements at paragraph 5, because it says 24. I think I've made it other error, but it was 2025 when I submitted that statement. Honorable Chair, I am trying to explain on this explanatory witness statement that I've presented to Parliament today, that when I appeared here, in my founding affidavit that I presented before this adhoc committee, I made it clear in that affidavit that the information that I was presenting before the adhoc committee, it is information that I had obtained through documents that I would have perused and people that had shared information. And what I was presenting was a collective effort of the men and women out there that are finding it challenging for them to carry out their task. So at no stage I had claimed that everything that I presented was solely from me. So it's information that will be provided to me by colleagues that are working on things. As I'm sure everyone knows that I am stationed in KwaZulu-Natal, and the majority of the things that brings us here, and I must applaud Honorable James when I listened to her yesterday, drawing our attention from PKTT to the real problem, which is drug issues that is happening in Gauteng. That majority of what we were raising on the 6th of July was in relation to the activities that we're seeing happening in Gauteng province. So therefore, the members that were working close with that have got different expertise, Honorable Chair. And as I was presenting and preparing the statement, I will obtain information from them. Some of them are analysts that will be providing information, and information that brought us to come together so that we can discuss this. Honorable Chair, in my statement, without going through it verbatim on every paragraph, I want to draw your attention especially to paragraph 7 or paragraph 6, maybe let me start there, and I'm going to read it into record, if you permit me.
On paragraph 7, on this explanatory witness statement, I'm explaining that in preparation of my evidence before the committee, I relied on information provided by the analyst in relation to the cell phone data of Mr. Matlala's phones. The analyst that worked on this was Ms. Nonhlanhla Ketsekile, who is a lieutenant colonel in the South African Police Service. She's the one that conducted the analysis of the data from the 2 mobile phones of Mr. Matlala. Colonel Ketsekile subsequently deposed to a statement wherein she explains how the error occurred. And the statement, I'm sure the members have, the statement that she deposed. She says, during the execution of her duties, she was, of course, in the presence of myself and other colleagues, who include the generals that are working on this case, where there was a projection of the data downloads of the cell phones of Mr. Ket Matlala. The 2 cell phones where the information came from Mr. Matlala was an iPhone 16 as well as iPhone 15. And it was discovered during these downloads that there were communications on cell phone numbers of General Cele, and General Cele's numbers were saved on these phones. And the numbers are reflected on my statement at paragraph 7.2.1 and 7.2.2. As you can see, these numbers were saved with particular names, Ndosi and Cele. For those who does not know, Ndosi is a clan name of Cele. So you'll assume that when a person talks about Cele or Ndosi, he talks about the same person. The analyst then explained that in the very same phone, there were also chats that were coming from a different number, which is reflected on paragraph 7.3. And this communication that is dated the 27th of December 2024, it was a communication between Vusmus Matlala and the person on this number that he had saved as Babndosi. So right at the onset, you'll assume that Babndosi might be a Cele person, not necessarily General Cele, but might be a Cele person because it's a clan name. But where the error happened, and honorable members must see there on record, and we are reflecting that especially on paragraph 7.5 of the statement. The number that is reflected on paragraph 5.2.1 above, which reads 072-207-3518. That is a number of General Cele. And the number that was communicating on text with Ket Matlala that was saved in Ket Matlala's phone and saved as Babndosi, or the address that Matlala uses, the number reads 072-204-3518. So on the glance, as the members can see, the 2 numbers are almost similar with a difference of only 1 digit, right in the middle. That's 1 digit that differentiates between the 2 numbers. The system that an analysis notebook that the analyst was using in punching the numbers and tracing the communication, I think the system drew a different number because of this confusion in the middle. Now, the analyst does submit a statement, or she has submitted a statement, both before this committee as well as on a criminal investigation that has been investigated by IP as a result of a case of perjury that Mr. Adams, the honorable member of this parliament, have opened as a result of that error. So she did submit, which we will have to account for on the criminal investigation. but she did submit her statement to explain how this error occurred. So we were upfront to withdraw that statements made. We've put in a statement supplementary in that regard, and we are here today to submit an explanatory statement on how this error between these two numbers occurred. Honorable Chair and members, we also believe that the very same Vusmus Matlala made the same error. He might have been under impression that he's communicating to someone else, Ndosi, Babndosi, that he addresses as Babndosi himself. Why do we say that? We say this because, Honorable Chair and members, the owner of the number that the mistake happened resides in Mpumalanga. His name is here, I'm not going to read it for privacy, but the members is reflected on the statement. The owner of this phone number has given us a statement as well, where he explains that he received a number of messages, WhatsApp messages with bank records, statements that he did not understand what was it about. There were a lot of them. And he then responded to try and get a conversation from the person who's sending him these documents. He sends him a message, he said, hey, and then the person responded. And next thing, there was an exchange of a bank account because it seems like Ed Matlala needed to put money, give money to this person. And this person gave him capital account. And this Ed Matlala deposited the money into this account. And this man was appreciative, he's unemployed, and he said he took some of this money, gave it to his girlfriend. And he wanted more money because he doesn't know who's this person that is donating the money to him that he does not know. It is then when Vusmus Matlala realized that it looks like he's talking to a wrong person. And Vusmus Matlala says on the WhatsApp message, who are you? So he's asking this guy that he has already given the money to, who are you? And this person explained, no, I'm so and so. So immediately after that, Matlala deleted all the messages that he had sent. He retracted all those messages from his phone. So a statement from that owner of that cell phone is here. The downloads from Matlala's phone does show those messages that the members or that the witness is talking about that were sent by Matlala to him. And they are reflected, attached to the statement. The members will be able to see them. Right at the back, there's quite a lot of messages that Matlala had sent to this guy, and he later deleted all of them. So we believe that Matlala made the same error, Chair, that we also made, simply because a number between this gentleman and Cele differs with only one digit. I think it's digit number 6. The other one has got 4, and the other one has got 7. The rest of the other numbers, they are exactly the same. So that is what we are submitting, Chair. It was not an intention for us to mislead this committee. It was an error that was made when the analysis team extracted information, which was discovered by the very same team when the investigation was conducted further, and when we established that, no, this is not a real person. And that's why we withdrew the statements that we made, which we had right at onset indicated that what we are sharing, it's any collective information that comes from different colleagues in the service. So that's my submission, Chair.
Thank you, General. But you do confirm that Minister Cele's number is or was on Mr. Matlala's phone?
Yes, we do confirm that there's communication between Minister Cele, or the former Minister Cele, Gerald Cele, and Vusmus Matlala. The only thing that we're withdrawing, it is the WhatsApp communication, and subsequent to that, a bank account and the proof of payment. And we had said, if I may add, Chair, that in our response here, we did say that there was a communication between the General and Matlala. But subsequent to that, there was a bank account that was shared, and the bank account belonged to a third person. And there was money that was moving to that bank account of that third person. And we were to investigate whether that third person is not associated to Gerald Cele. That's what we said on record. So it is that investigation that revealed that actually those two are not related.
So the person who actually did get the money just thought that Christmas came early. He was getting a gift from some unknown person.
Yeah, well,
Not connected at all to Kat Matlala or to former Minister Cele.
Indeed, he does tell us that he enjoyed that money and he shared it with his girlfriend.
Is there any connection to the Ndosi number? And because you say Ndosi is a clan name for Cele.
It is Kat himself that addresses him as Bamdosi. So that's why we believe that he saved this, and this person has got no relationship with Cele clan. He goes with a different surname. Without disclosing the details of the person, maybe I can indicate his surname. His surname is Mhlanga. So he's nowhere closer to the clan of Cele.
Now, apart from what on your evidence appears to be a genuine mistake, what made you believe in the first place that Matlala would have sent money to former Minister Cele in this fashion?
Honorable Chair, the investigation team, as they were interacting, and we get to see the communication between General Cele and Matlala and the relationship that is between the two of them. It is that what became suspicious as to, but why would General Cele associate himself with this person? And further colleagues that we're talking to, of which some of them I spoke about, and we're going to discuss it later today. A colleague of mine who's the head of human resource management in the South African Police Service, that is Lieutenant General Hua, who had indicated to me that Gerald Cele was adamant to want to see him in order to discuss the contract that Matlala had in the police because there were no orders coming. She said to me, this was after the Durban engagement with Matlala when I spoke to her. And she said to me, Gerald Cele was even so adamant that he wanted to travel to Velkom when she was in Velkom to come and meet with her. So it is that made us to realize that there was that effort from General Cele to make sure that Matlala is assisted to some degree. And of course, the generals going to the accommodation of Matlala in Pretoria, which has already been presented here, that is known. So those are some of the things that made us to feel that there is something that is questionable relationship between the two of them. So when the analyst then starts seeing this conversation, and on the glance, she can come and demonstrate how the system dropped this information that appears to be the General Cele that WhatsApp, the error occurred. We had no reason but to believe that there is something to be investigated between the two. And considering the fact that this contract, when it was awarded, we are not saying that there was any role that the General played, but when this contract of Matlala was awarded, Minister Mkhwanazi was not in, when the process started, Minister Mkhwanazi was not in the organization at the time. Gerald Cele was the executive authority at the time.
So at least on the face of it, there appeared to be some connection, and so when you miss one digit on two numbers that look almost exactly the same, there's no reason to think that it was done maliciously or some ulterior motive.
No, definitely, there was no ill intention.
Yeah.
That's why we withdrew and made an apology up front.
Now the one person whose name does feature prominently in the WhatsApp exchanges between Mr. Matlala and Mr. Mkhwanazi is Minister Mkhunu. And Minister Mkhunu had handed up an affidavit that was deposed to by Mr. Matlala, where he says words to the effect that there's no relationship, no connection. I forget the exact wording now, but something to that effect. We'll find the affidavit and read it back to you. But words to that effect. Now, you had subsequently also been handed some information which indicates that that may not have been the case. The impression is created by the affidavit handed up by Minister Mkhunu that Matlala almost volunteered to give that information and deposed to an affidavit while he was at Kgosi Mapuru. Now, you have made available to us, which I will ask that they flight a handwritten letter it is in the pack. So, Honourable Chair, Honourable Members, you can see it yourself. It seems to be addressed to Nhlamulo, NHLUMULO -FYI for your attention or for your information, and it's a handwritten letter. Perhaps first just explain how you got this letter into your possession, and whether you know who this person is who wrote the letter or allegedly wrote the letter. Have you verified the contents of this letter? Have you sought to authenticate the letter? Just give us some background to this letter before we go to the relevant parts, please.
Thank you so much, Chair. Honorable Chair, a cousin of mine stays in Johannesburg, and she works in Johannesburg as well. She called me and told me that there is an information of someone in prison in Pretoria that wanted to see me and share information with me. But of course, I was in Durban and I could not just be in Pretoria, but I indicated to her that I'm going to be on my way to Pretoria, so if there's something that you want to share, I can meet up with you somewhere, collect whatever that you have collected and come and give it to me. And we made that arrangement. I traveled to Johannesburg, and I met with her at, I think, Woodmead, if I'm not mistaken, and she gave me a handwritten document. And she gave me a bit of a background as to where does this handwritten document come from. So I took that and I was on my way to the Interpol conference in Morocco. I then thought I was going to be able to take time and read it and get to see whether what is written there can be of any assistance to anyone. So that's a background of how I got the letter. When I asked her how she received it herself, she said to me she got it from a gentleman who went to fetch this letter from prison, from a person who wrote it in prison. As you can see, the letter is not addressed to me. It's addressed to someone who I don't even know who the person is. I had to make an inquiry as to who is Nhlamulo. And my cousin had explained to me that Nhlamulo is a member of MK party. I don't know if he's a spokesperson or what title does he have. But the person that wrote the letter is a friend or is a person who grew up with Nhlamulo, so he knows Nhlamulo very well. And as a result, that person was addressing this to Nhlamulo. And apparently the intention was to ask Nhlamulo to bring it to me. But it is said that Nhlamulo was not available. I think he was in Cape Town. And if I'm not mistaken, Nhlamulo would have sent his father to go and meet up with this person. And that's how the father collected this information. Then that information was passed to my cousin, and that's how it got to me. So the person wrote like this, and I confirmed, Chair, whether can I present this thing before the committee, and he said, yeah, he's willing to testify. He's currently in one of the correctional centers in Gauteng, but no longer in Hosimapuru. And he had even put his name right at the bottom, because I thought we could redact the name in order to protect him. And he said, no, he doesn't mind. He can tell it as is. So that's why we have it here before us.
Sorry, and this is a convicted prisoner.
I'm not sure of his status, but what I read from here, he said he's been in that, I think, in custody for more than 3 years. So whether he's convicted or not, I've never investigated.
Waiting trial for 3 years, a bit long.
There are a lot of people that can be waiting trials for many years in our facilities.
Like in the Senzo Moyewa. But so his name appears to be Jermaine Prim. It's right at the end of this letter, just above the digit 8, Jermaine Prim.
Yeah, right at the end is written Jermaine Prim, and he signed it.
Yeah. Okay. Now, this letter is Jermaine Prim, the author of this letter. Is he writing this letter on the basis of information that he is now getting from Vusi Matlala?
What I was informed is that this person was in the same correctional facility with Kat Matlala, and he interacted with Kat Matlala throughout the whole process. In a matter of fact, what the information I have is that it was just the 2 of them in the cell.
Okay. Now, you haven't verified this for yourself or through your investigating team or through any investigating team?
Yeah, well, no. I've shared this information with the team in Gauteng as they are investigating some other cases in Gauteng, but not necessarily me, myself, to get involved with that investigation.
Now, you agree that there are a lot of names in this letter?
According to what is written, this man, because I established as to how did he gather the information. Information I got is that Kat was telling him things, and he will take a pen and a paper and he will write these things down without Kat knowing at the time. So that's why I was worried about this coming out in public, that maybe his life will be in danger. And he said, no, he's no longer even in the same facilities, so he doesn't mind. We can make this public. What he writes here is stories that he was told by Kat inside that correctional center. But he also makes his own remarks about his own issues here that has got other names. As I said, it's not something that has been investigated by me. I'm sure the team that gets to see this, they will interview him and try and get more information, because there are somewhere in this statement of his where he makes some allegations against some of our senior public figures of government. But that is in brief. I would say more than 90% of what is here, it's what it's been told to him by Kat Matlala.
Now, what makes you believe that this letter or copy of this letter is authentic, and that is indeed what Jermaine records, what Kat is telling him? They obviously have a lot of time to do this sitting together in a cell all day.
Honorable Chair, the things that are mentioned here are matters that some of them I was not aware. One of them is I did not know how the minister obtained Kat's affidavit that he came to present here. I did not know that, and I never investigated, but it was presented before this adhoc committee. Some of the things that are mentioned here include the meeting that myself and Kat had in Durban. It's mentioned in this letter because Kat told him that. So this person wrote the things that had not been made public, both in this adhoc committee as well as at Madlanga Commission. So it is there that made me believe afterwards that this person is legit on what he's talking about. The stories that he's putting out and be investigated further, because we have already heard some of these things that he's talking about. And this was before a lot of these things presented, and I think it's something that happened before even the minister came to testify, if I'm not mistaken. There's no date on the letter when he wrote it, but when I inquired, was that when the father of this Mhlamulo went to collect it, they gave it to me 2 days after collection of this document. So obviously need to be verified, some of these things, whether are there any facts on them or not. But it's stories that later, when testimonies are presented at the commission as well as here, they collaborate some of the information that is here. The issues of Ekurhuleni, amongst others.
So we need to be clear that this letter constitutes hearsay.
Yeah, it is indeed, until the author is tested on it. But from my side, as I said, I'm the third person that receives it. The person gave it to a gentleman, the gentleman gave it to my cousin brought it to me.
Sort of double, triple hearsay.
Yeah, part of why I'm giving it here is because he explains the how part of an affidavit that the minister brought before this committee, how it was obtained. And then the relationship, it seems, between himself and the minister, there seems to be in a way direct, not indirect as we presented, because all along we've been seeing Minister Mkhunu as communicating with CAT via other people like mkhwanazi and amongst others, but not a direct conversation.
Yeah, I want to go to that part only of the letter that is relevant to what you're saying. But well, obviously it's up to the honorable members if they want to ask you questions or examine you on any other part of the letter, but it just seems to me to be almost irresponsible also to refer to other aspects where a number of prominent personalities are mentioned in this letter. But as you rightly say, this all needs to be investigated, or is maybe the subject of investigation, we don't know. Now, the relevant paragraph is the one, honorable members, it's marked number digit 2, it's circled. I think it's still, it's still on page 1. Do you have it, General?
Yes, I said.
Is this the part? On the 22nd of September, is that I received legal visit from my attorney, Natasha somebody, or can you pronounce that surname? No, it's not. On arrival at the legal visit, I found Vusi Matlala there. There were 2 white guys there to see him, in brackets, lawyers, close brackets. They handed him a paper to sign. He took it and signed it and handed it back. He did not even read through it. He then left and continued my legal visit. I will back at the section. I asked him who those lawyers are, because I know Otis, and it was not him. It was also definitely not Nkwashu. He then told me that they are Senzo Mkhunu's lawyers and that they asked him to sign a statement saying he doesn't know Mkhunu. And then paragraph 3, when Vusi Matala arrived in CMAX in July 2025, he told me that he funded Senzo Mkhunu's election campaign as Mkhunu was campaigning to be the president of South Africa. He also said he gave him money for the ANC January, in brackets I think January, and he's got 18, conference which they have yearly. He said just for the January conference, he gave him over 4 million rand. I was shocked because I've been in CMAX for 3 years. We don't have radios, newspapers or TV, so I didn't know all this was happening. He told me Senzo Mkhunu is the Minister of Police. He also told me about his case and the police. We spoke daily. He said that he's friends with Cedric Shabia, who is head of investigations and detectives in SAPS. He went in depth and said that Shabia told him to open a case against mkhwanazi. He said Shabia gave him information of the special task force having kidnapped some lady who works at forensics and then seizing her computer. Shabia also told him that mkhwanazi is under investigation. He told me many other things about Shabia. Then paragraph 4, a few days after signing the statement which Mkhunu sent for Vusi, he told me that Mkhunu sent a message to his wife explaining that he is happy, that Vusi must just sit tight, and in quotation marks, help is on the way, close quotation marks. Vusi said, help, all in capital letters. So, General, is that the part that you wanted to highlight for the purposes of this discussion about Minister Mkhunu?
Honorable Chair, in this 8-page statement has got too many things that are relevant to this committee. Too many, beyond this one. These of the statement of Minister Mkhunu doesn't start on paragraph 2, it starts from paragraph 1. The events that happened before the lawyers were spotted in prison. That's why I'm saying something can be investigated. If the phone records and the visitors registers of these correctional services will be able to prove whether such visits happened, was this statement obtained from the prison, and so forth. This person is telling what Kat told him. But beyond this, Honorable Chair, this person talks about things that we did not talk about here. And one of them was the meeting between myself and Vusmus Matlala in Durban. It is here in the statement, because Vusmus Matlala told him about it. That's why it makes a reference to it.
I wanted to get there after.
Yeah,
after
but
this.
what I'm saying, Chair, is that there is just too many other things that are here that might be relevant. There is Katiso Malife's issues here that this man is talking about. There are border issues here that are part of the letter of the minister. So there's drug issues that have been spoken about in this letter. So if we're going to only take one paragraph and exclude the others, we might miss something. It is something that
sorry,
I'm present.
General, just a correction. It's
Yeah.
not what I can't tell you what to testify to, what to say. This is a document you've presented to us.
Yes.
If you want to go through the entire document and discuss it, then feel free to do so.
Okay.
I was honing in just on the one aspect, which is the
letter, the statement
the statement
of the minister.
that the minister had made to us under oath, and there appears to be some other version which is hearsay at this stage and which needs to be corroborated. But if there's anything else in the letter or the whole letter that you feel you want to discuss, then you must feel free to do that.
Okay. Yeah, no, well, SC, you've touched on the events that this person is talking about, what he saw with his own eyes inside the correctional service. But what also transpired is right at the beginning on the 9th of September on paragraph 1, which I will also want to invite you to first take that part. And after reading that part, then you can be able to link up with number 2. And that first part, and I don't know if you want me to read it.
Okay, I'll read it. On the 9th or the 10th of September, there was a conference call between Shamila Batoy, Senzo Mkhunu, Lawrence Odes, Musi Matlala's advocate, and SAPS General, which he didn't name.
It's just an issue about which September they're talking about in the statement, because it's not detailed which year is that.
Chair, if I may respond to that. The statement is as it stands. So the person who's an author, that's why I'm saying that this needs to be investigated further, because the person who's an author that wrote it like this. So the years honorable member is asking is not written, and I cannot say it is which year. It is my assumption that this happened when Kat Matlala was in custody. So if it happened when I was in custody, it might mean September 2025. But I'm not an author. I cannot guarantee. I don't want Honorable James to go to prison, police station again, and open a case against me.
Honorable James.
Sorry, Adams. Did I say James? My apologies, Honorable James. Honorable Adams, I meant to say.
Are you,
My
sorry, are you going to
apologies.
allow me, Chair? Because you said no earlier on. Apologies, I have a clarity seeking question. General mkhwanazi,
Yes, ma'am.
did you profile, number one, you know what is concerning here? Did you profile Jermaine Prim? That is the first thing I want to ask you. Secondly, I'm thinking now if it's coincidence that all three of these people, Kat Matlala, Bester, and Jermaine, are all allegedly in CMAX. So the only way that Jermaine can listen to conversations of Kat Matlala is if he's on a cell phone. How do you explain Mr. Matlala then having a cell phone in CMAX? That's my first concern. My second concern is that Thabo Bester is also in that same block in CMAX. We've now received correspondence from Bester, from Jermaine Prim, and we've heard from Mr. Matlala. I am worried. I have background, sure. Without compromising myself or this. I think I'm going to leave it at they are in CMAX. Why do they have access to cell phones? I'm going to leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, I'm not sure if I can maybe just make some comment, and maybe as a follow-up to what Honorable James is raising. I'm trying to find the actual paragraph here, but in this statement of this gentleman, this person alleges that Kat Matlala has freedom inside the CMAX. He is very close with the head of the facility. That's why he can get around and can get things done with ease. So it then explains that, and he says he was sharing a cell block with the two of them. They were together. Obviously, we found the cell phone thanks to the Commission of Correctional Services that dispatched in a suspicion after the address that something might be happening in that cell. So the commissioner phoned me to send people to go, he said he sent people to go to the cell and they found the phone. And luckily that phone has helped us with a lot of these things we investigated. How did the phone get to Kat inside the cell? It's again a question mark, but what this man is saying, the relationship that Kat has with the head of the center and some officials within that center, it's clear that Kat can get whatever he likes inside that place. I'm not going to explain part of the reasons why there was a motivation for him to move away from there, but that's part of the problems that has been experienced, which the head of correctional service, the commission also identified. Thank you.
Thank you. General, just as a matter of information, perhaps, well, you would know. You know that Radovan Krecha was also there at Kgosi Maphuru. In fact, he may still have been there when the Honorable Committee had a sitting there. You know that, or knew that? Radovan Krecha was also at Kgosi Maphuru.
No, I was not involved in Krecha. I know he was in custody, but I never pay attention until I get to know about the KZN leg of it.
I'm saying this because perhaps the author of the letter was mistaken, because the name of Miss Natasha, I think the spelling is Otrebski, Otrepski. She is Krecha's attorney. And he was also there, and that paragraph mentions her legal visit. Also claiming to be his attorney, the author, Jermaine's attorney.
Yeah, well, I think there's quite a lot of lawyers that are representing dodgy characters in our country. You just have to go in the system and check who is the lawyers ever appeared on behalf of Bodcat, whether he's a Jermaine guy, whether he's a Thabo Bester, whether he's, I know of a controversial lawyer that has also been part of the AKA murder in KZN, which are controversial figures, but I'm not a legal person to say much about it. It's just an interesting thing to notice as a police.
So we went back to paragraph 1. It said on the 9th or the 10th of September, there was a conference call between Shamila Batoy, Senzo Mkhunu, Lawrence Hodes, Vusi Matlala's advocate, and SAPS General, which he didn't name. Hodes added victim Kwashu to the call. The reason for Hodes adding Kwashu was for Kwashu to facilitate what was being discussed. The plan and reason for the call was to get Vusi Matlala to sign an affidavit that states he doesn't know Senzo Mkhunu. Apparently, Kwashu told him to first show good faith by granting Vusi bail. He then refused to take any part in it unless they signed or they granted Vusi bail. First, Vusi was quite angry that Kwashu refused to facilitate this. Vusi then explained to me that Hodes and Shamila are good friends and that Shamila and Senzo Mkhunu are also very close. That is why Shamila Batoy is trying to help Senzo Mkhunu. Vusi also said that Andrea Johnson was also part of the discussion and that she's on board. I also know that there were people from adhoc at the prison to see Vusi on more than one occasion. He explained to me that the purpose of the visit was for him to help them discredit General mkhwanazi. He apparently said he was at Mkhwanazi's apartment in Umhlanga, and it's called the Pearls of, not sure what pearls of what. So General, that you say is also then, and it's something I wanted to come to, which is a matter that you also didn't tell us in your affidavit or in your oral evidence. Can I just raise this? It was mentioned to us for the first time, the Matlala's allegations of advance. Yeah. This was stated in Mr. Matlala's affidavit, at paragraph 126, meeting with General Mkhwanazi, I met Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi at the Pearls. Is that the Pearls he's referring to in this handwritten letter?
Yeah, well, this is, I believe, what this gentleman had was told by Ket Matlala,
Yes.
even before the adhoc committee went to hear from Ket Matlala himself.
Yeah.
That's why I have no reason to doubt some of the content that he wrote here.
So Matlala said, I met Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi at Pearls of Mhlanga on 15 April 2025. Minister Tele had arranged for me to meet him. This was the result of my interaction with Minister Tele regarding issues with my SAPS contract. Minister Tele advised me that he knew Lieutenant General Mkhua, but the person who was very close to her was Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. Before we proceeded to the meeting, I contacted Lieutenant General Sinona, who is also the head of the Hawks in KZN, as I was not comfortable to meet Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi alone. I first ran this by Minister Nkele, and he okayed it with Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. The meeting was scheduled at the Pearls, and upon arrival, we met him outside. He told us to follow him, went up in an elevator to what I assumed was his apartment because he offered us drinks that were in the fridge. During the meeting, Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi told me that he had heard I had problems with my contract, but he also has problems which he needed to assist him with. He acknowledged that I had been complaining a lot about my contract and saying that they weren't paying on time and not sending enough purchase orders. He then said to help my contract flow, I needed to cooperate because he was very close to Lieutenant General Nkua, the head of human resources who oversaw my contract. Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi essentially stated that Lieutenant General Nkua is a stumbling block, quote unquote, and is collaborating with the previous service provider, Metropolitan. He even claimed that she had purchased properties, converted them into bed and breakfast, and used money from Metropolitan, suggesting corruption because her salary could not cover such purchases. Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi provided me with the address of her latest purchase, which was a house in Pretoria East. The message I got was clear. If I wanted my contract to proceed smoothly, I would need to, quote, work with her and give her money, unquote, or my contract would be terminated. He was indicating that police officers, even generals, could afford these things because they collaborated with service providers like myself. Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi indicated to me that he knew I owned a property in Midstream Estate. He further indicated that he had a problem with a person in the same estate and asked whether I knew a person by the name of Ishmael Nangi. I informed him that I knew this person, but I was close to him, but I knew my son and his son attended the same school, and my wife and his wife knew each other. I informed him I would request my wife to set up a meeting with him. So the reason why I raise this is also, that's also one of the issues which you didn't raise before us when you first appeared, either in your affidavit or in the oral evidence. And so the question is, why didn't you do so? Do you dispute that such a meeting took place? We know from the evidence we heard, Mr. Matlala's evidence at Khosi Mapuru about this, and also General Sinona's role in this. So this is also an opportunity for you to explain why you hadn't mentioned it in the first place, and what is your version of what happened there.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. When I appeared before this adhoc committee, I was presenting in the main the incidents that are prohibiting the police from executing their duties, where we believe the minister has enabled these people to block the police investigations. And of course, not the minister doing the bad things, but the people that are doing the bad things are police officers and some of them within the entire value chain of justice system officials that are participating on this matter. The meeting of Kat Matlala, we did not see it as a need to present it because it was a meeting that was helping the investigation to uncover some truth about that which the team in Gauteng was investigating. So Kat Matlala, when he met with me in that meeting, he was afraid of the people that he was talking about. And he made it clear that what he's sharing with me in a straight language, you will refer to as snitching to people. So he was giving out information that would have compromised his safety. So he was giving out information that if it were to come out, maybe his life and his family would be at risk. What I like, that's why we did not communicate. But what became evident to that is that the person who facilitated the meeting, Jairus Nona, when he appeared before Matlanga Commission, he was afraid to name those names. And when Kat appeared before this commission and introduced that meeting, I was not in the country. When I became aware of it, I then sent a WhatsApp message. I actually tried to phone Jairus Nona. He didn't answer the phone. When I sent him a message to outline what the meeting is about, the same message that after sending to Snona, I shared with yourself, Senior Counsel, on the...
Yes, we'll ask for that, if it's possible, we'll ask for that, those WhatsApp messages to be flighted. But continue in the meantime.
Perhaps what I can say then, Chair, is I've indicated why didn't I introduce that meeting, that I did not see the need of that meeting to be discussed before this commission, because this committee, because...
Sorry, General, to interrupt. The WhatsApp copy is in hard copy, I think, before honourable members, Chair. Yeah, and the letter from Sonona's attorney. So you can refer to it, General. Thank you.
Okay. Honourable Chair, I still feel that Kat Matlala was used by people to try and paint a picture that as a person who looks like a bad person, but he also met with me. And as a result, people will start questioning my credibility. I did not disclose the meeting, and I'm glad that he's the one that introduced the meeting, because the people he spoke about are subject to the investigation by the GCI Ops in Gauteng. And I did not want to disclose it because I had made a commitment that I will not disclose any meeting that he's giving me as an informer. So that was the reason. But he introduced the meeting.
You didn't... this meeting was Lieutenant General Kumalo aware of this meeting, or that the meeting was going to take place, or did you already discuss with him as the investigating officer that this meeting would take place?
Thank you so much, Honourable Chair. Perhaps the members must give me time to listen to this story, because I don't want you to get it halfway. How does it happen that I get to meet Kat Matlala right at the beginning? And when the members are listening to this, you're going to tally with a sergeant that was sitting on this chair from Mpumalanga that was brought by Mr. James to this house to come and open a case in Cape Town, that allegations of kidnapping and torture.
Mr. Adams.
Oh. And I'm looking at you, Honourable James, but I'm saying the name again. I don't know. My apologies. It's the second time I'm doing this. I'll take the fine, ma'am. Sorry about that. Yeah, Honourable Adams, the sergeant that came here and said things. So I'm going to link all these things together so that you have a clear picture of everything. I work in KwaZulu-Natal as the head of the police in the province. I report to the National Commission. I'm assisted by the colleagues from the national units. One of the colleagues responsible for the national unit is Jairus Nona. Jairus Nona is responsible to DPCI. DPCI does not report to me. They are assisting KZN, but they have their own specific responsibilities. And another one that assisted me back then, I'm sad that Mr. Adams is not here today, because I wanted to talk to him. I'm sure he's watching the TV. Our parents must look at the screen. The one person that assisted me is Major General Chika. Major General Chika was the head of crime intelligence in KwaZulu-Natal during the time of riots. He was the one that Honorable James should be blaming for the failure, if any. Adams to be blaming for the failures of intelligence, if any. It is General Chika, because he was the head of crime intelligence in KZN. So I have crime intelligence, which is a national entity. I have DPCI, which is a national entity. And then myself in the middle. So from time to time, we're going to be communicating with colleagues. As when Chika is going on retirement, I'm away, I'm on his farewell, and I'm talking to the division to make sure that they fill up that post. The post that has since been vacant from that time to date has not been filled. But the National Commission told me that they are finalizing the process to get that post filled. That is 12 months down the line. We still don't have a head of intelligence. General Snona is a person who comes from Gauteng. He was appointed in KZN. So I interact with General Snona. But I'd already heard of a name of General Snona even before coming to KZN. There's one former warrant officer, Malinga, who used to work at Organized Crime Pretoria, who still today is undergoing court because of issues that he and General Sinona were involved with while they were working in Pretoria. I don't want to get into the details of that, but there's a case that is dragging forever that does not end. So that's how I got to know, because I knew Malinga, and Malinga will tell me about General Sinona at the time. So that's how I got to know about Sinona even before meeting him. But fast forward, I'm in KZN, General Sinona is the head of DPCI in KZN. I will not remember, Honorable Chair and members, the exact date, but it will be 2 or 3 years back. General Sinona approaches me, and one of the conversations we're having, he says to me, I am thinking of resigning from the police. And I ask him, when you want to resign from the police, where do you want to go? He says, no, I'm going to join a security company of my friend. And this friend of mine is from Mamelodi. He's got a very big security company, and it's Matlala that is in charge. And I said, no. Well, I stayed in Pretoria. I've never paid attention of the security companies like that one. And he says, no, this guy is big. There's a lot of police officers that are working for his security company and so forth. He has just got a contract in Lesotho. So he wants me to go and run his project in Lesotho. So this is Nona talking to me. So I then discouraged him from resigning. I said, but you are left with 2 years before you go on retirement. If this is your friend, why don't you retire after 2 years? And thereafter, you then go and work for him. Remember, I don't know who this Matlala person is. And then he took that advice, and he said later afterwards, hey, no, I took advice. I think I must wait until 2 years is over. But fast forward to that. A kidnapping case is reported of Kwatuguza. And a Muslim guy is kidnapped from the mosque, and he disappears, and nobody traces him. They don't know where he's whereabouts. Such cases are handled by DPCI. So DPCI is involved. The team of DPCI has some members, tactical team from the province, which is TRT, that works with them. And some dog unit members, flying squad, they will form a team. But it is DPCI that deals with it. And these other members will just be in support. So then they say to me that there's an incident that has happened where the family was called, and the ransom demanded, the family was called from a number in South Beach in Durban, next to the beachfront. When the team followed up, they discovered that a person bought airtime and loaded it on the phone and made the phone call. And they could identify the person that went to buy airtime on cameras, and they followed that person. And the person said, the person who gave me asked me to go and buy airtime, gave me 50 rands as a payment. So a person was paid 50 rand to go and buy airtime from the tuck shop and give it to this person. And this person was sitting in the car, and the car was parked in this place. So the team followed that car. They discovered that it's a white bakkie with no number plate. So they started following the movement of that car through cameras in the assistance of security companies in KZN, because they're very good with these cameras they put out there. They help the team to trace the movements of this car. So until the car disappeared in the area of Mayfield, Katomena side, They couldn't locate it. So then they went back to check all the other cameras in Durban to look for this car, if there's somewhere the car was picked up early in the day or afterwards. So they picked up the car, stopped at the shop somewhere. And this individual got out of the car, they entered that shop. So they went to that shop and they downloaded the footage and they identified two gentlemen in that footage that came from that bakkie. And one of the people they identified was Mr. Nangi, which was well known from the police as one of the high-profile wanted person on kidnapping in Mozambique. So that's immediately the team knew that means it's Nangi that is behind the kidnapping. And Nangi lives in Gauteng. So they went to trace the movement of the car at Marankin toll gate and all the other toll gates on the entry. They discovered that indeed this car had drove past there. And Nangi was driving, and he would be one passing the toll gate and paying. And they were easily, because I would ask them, why you say you've identified that it's Nangi? So he's got a funny eye. I don't know how his eye is like, but that's what draws attention on the team. So the team then moved to Gauteng. From what they are briefing me, they're updating me, but it's not my case. They arrive in Gauteng, they trace this information in Gauteng, they found Nangi, and they downloaded, took his phone and they opened his phone. In his phone, they found, which was a shocking thing, a person whom yesterday Sergeant Nkosi presented before the Madlanga Commission to be known as an expert in kidnappings. Nkosi spoke about him yesterday. They found a communication between Nangi and this gentleman. And in actual fact, money transfers between Nangi and this gentleman, 300, 200,000 rand, a lot of money. And to the team, they were shocked and said, but the person is known as a private investigator dealing with kidnappings. How does he have a relationship with Nangi, who's known to be a kingpin in kidnapping? It could be that the person who's a private investigator is linked to Nangi. Because if you go back, honorable chair members, and check, majority, 90% of the time, well, this is a 90% I can talk about, maybe not the one of Jara Kumado that you were fighting with them about. Majority of the people that are kidnapped are Muslim people. Majority of them, because they've got cash in their shops. And almost 100%, majority of the time, more than 90% of the time, there's a lump sum paid before they are released. And the person who's part of the negotiation is so-called expert investigator, private investigator, will always encourage the family to pay a certain amount. Not the full 20 million rands they're looking for, maybe half of it, but there's always payment. So here's this person who's known to be the lead expert in kidnapping, is exchanging money with Nangi. The team got worried, and they said, it means we have an enemy within, because this gentleman is this tight with the General Khan and the team that deals with kidnapping. Is this tied with Jarasmia, who's in charge of the investigation in the police? This gentleman. I'm talking about the private person now. So the team picks that one up and say, there's something not right, it doesn't add up here. As they were interrogating, I don't know the how part, they discovered that the kidnapped individual is kept in a house in Mpumalanga. They traveled to Mpumalanga. They arrived in Mpumalanga in a particular house, and there was no one there. And when they engaged with the community around, the community said, we've been suspecting something dodgy happening in this house. But before you arrive, there were a lot of movement, cars that drove out with speed, and they left the place. And the owner of the house is the sergeant, the police sergeant. And this police sergeant, he stays in another house somewhere. And they directed the police to the next house. So the police moved with speed because they're looking for a kidnapped person. They went to the next house. When they arrived in the next house, they were told, this gentleman has gone to Mozambique. He has crossed with the person that's kidnapped to Mozambique. And the team then engaged with the people in Mozambique and said, looks like there's someone there in Mozambique that has crossed with the person that is kidnapped. So, and I heard there was a talk of, when you were sitting here, he was talking about the video that was available. There is a video available of a shop close by that shows police cars coming to the property and the police cars leaving the property. And later, the community is all over the place there. And later, the house is on fire. And the medical people come in to attend to that house. The video is there. Yeah, they're not just property. The house that was identified initially as a place where this property, this one was kept. So his story on a confession that Molocho made when the police got him confirms this arrangement with Nangi. But Molocho then is found, eventually is brought back into South Africa. The How Party, remember, I'm not involved in this. And is taken with Nangi and everyone else. The team transport them to Devon for the case at Kwatuguze. But what I don't know what happened in that case, because the DPP contacted me and said, this team that was investigating this case, they messed up this case. And the DPP wrote a complaint via the NDPP to DPCI for disciplinary steps to be instituted against these members that were working on this investigation. So that's how the case was withdrawn from court. And this Nangi and this Molocho guy left. They were released because of that. So that's how the Nangi story comes about. Well, obviously, internal, the organization will have investigated.
Just pause there, General. The Nangi story, you can deal with it maybe a little later. That's not gone yet because there's now...
It's gone. It's coming back into why Snona. We end up talking to Kat about it. So remember, it said Kat, Snona talked about Kat when Snona wanted to resign, to join Kat. Then subsequently, there's this incident of kidnapping. There's the incident of a case not being finalized that involved Mlotshwa. And eventually, after they are released, there's a case open in Johannesburg by Nangi and Mlotshwa team. They open a case of stealing of Rolex watches and many other torture, amongst others, many other things. It's registered in Joburg. I have no clue because I'm not part of it. Sinona comes to me. And he says to me, General, there's a case open against my team. Remember, it's his team. It is DPCI's team. He said, there's a case open in Joburg against my team. And the case is opened by Nangi and the people that are with him. And I took note. I said, oh, well, what is the case about? He said, no, torture and all those things. And I said, but was he tortured? Were they tortured, these people? And he said to me, no, they were tortured in Mozambique. This guy, when he was arrested in Mozambique, was tortured and so forth. But Snona sounded like he was not even part of the team. When the team was doing all this movement, he was not there. But I know today he's also facing a disciplinary case. I don't know why is he facing a disciplinary case, but I'm not part of it. But he tells me this thing. He said, there's a case open in Joburg. Unfortunately, you, mkhwanazi, you're one of the accused in that case. So then I asked him, why am I accused on a case that I don't know? He said, no, they're alleging that we're part of this. So I just laughed it off. I said, it's one of many other cases that will be thrown on me. Maybe someone influenced that. I'm not going, well, I guess if it's there involving the police, IPT will investigate like many other cases. So we end there with Snona. Few weeks later, Snona speaks to me again, face to face, and he says to me, General, I found someone to help withdraw that case against my team. So then I asked him, but when you say you found someone to help withdraw the case, how is this person withdrawing the case? He said, no, this person spoke to one of the complainants. So I asked, who is this person? Then he said, Vusmus Matlala. Now I already know the name Kat. And I said, but okay, you said you found him. How did you find him? He said, no, I was with him in Gauteng. And I told him that there is a Nangi guy that is opening a case against my team. And Kat took the phone, he called Nangi. This is what Snona tells me. That Kat took the phone and he calls Nangi. And he told Nangi that, hey, don't get involved in this case. Why did you open a case? And Nangi said to him, it is Jaras Beer that influenced him to open the case. But otherwise, he's no longer going to participate. Now, IPT must come and explain. Since the case was registered, a year later, nobody's ever come to me. What is happening on that case? Could it be that the main complainant on the case did not want to cooperate anymore with the investigation? If that's the case, he's going to check out on what Snona told me that he was told by Kat. Because that means Kat influenced that Nangi not to participate in the case at the time. I suspect, I don't know, but I suspect Nangi is the main complainant. Perhaps that's why Mlotshwa was brought by Adams here to become a complainant on a similar case here in Cape Town. But I'm not on that. I'm just saying that's how the Nangi name came into the picture. It is Kat that tells, it is Sinona that talks to Kat about Nangi to drop the charge. So that's what got me more interested to ask more about the relationship between Snona and this cat guy. So when I asked him, I said, but you wanted to resign to join his company, and now you are telling me that he's helping you to stop the investigation. How do you know this guy? Then Snona says, we grew up together. We were playing soccer together. Then I remember I said, you said Cat stays in Mamelodi and you are from Soshanguve. How did you grow up together? This township are far apart. He said, no, we're playing soccer together. That's how we know each other. Remember the time, I don't know the age of Cat. I don't even know how old he is. He's just telling me about they grew up together and that's how they got to know each other. So I had no reason not to believe him. So I said, so he's your brother, eh? He's that close to you? He said, no, he's my brother. Then I started saying to him, but there's investigation happening in Gauteng where this cat is got issues that are questionable about him. So you sure you're not part of the wrong? He said, no. Cat is, I know him as a clean guy, he's my brother. Even if you check the phone communication between me and him, we are brothers. So I had no reason not to believe the head of the Hawks in KZN when he tells me this, that Cat is just a brother. I finished the conversation, I talked to Kumalo, I said, Snona has this close relationship with Cat. Maybe when we check the downloads of Cat, we must run the Snona's phone and see if there's any communication between them. So that's how the extract of the communication and the relationship between Cat and Snona was discovered, because it's Snona that disclosed the relationship between him and Cat. Fast forward from there, Snona comes to me and he says, hey, remember the guy I told you about, Cat Matlala? I said, yeah. He said, that guy's got a contract in the police of health contract. But he's struggling because police are not placing orders. Now he wants to reach out to talk to the end user, which is Jaran. And when they establish the people that can link him with Jaran, they discover that you're the one of our entire management of the SAPS, you're the one that is closest to Jaran. Can you arrange a meeting? So now I said to Snona, but why must I arrange a meeting for Cat Matlala and Jaran for what reason? And he says, no, but looks like Cat has an information that can assist Kumalo and the team with their investigation in Gauteng. So that what drew my attention, and I said, but he's got information. What information? He said, no, the role that's be ablaze in this whole criminality happening in Gauteng. So that got me excited, and I said, okay, well, we'll confirm the meeting. From there, I then contacted Jara Kumalo. I said, Jara Kumalo, this is what I'm aware of. Must we have this meeting? So we agreed, no, let's have the meeting. But let's control the venue where the meeting is. And let's wire the place so that you can record everything happening in the meeting. Hence the flat. That we have to discard, get a flat, a place where we can go in, nobody can trace us. Anything happening there can be on record. I was hoping the day that Cat is going to say he gave me money, because I was going to come and show you that there was never anything handed. I'm glad he didn't, because there was nothing. So the meeting then is arranged, and I go back to Snona. I said, tell him to come. Then Jara Snona invite him to come. And I said to Snona, I know this guy moves around with bodyguards. When he comes to see me, he must be alone and you, just the two of you, nobody else. So you're going to pick him up, or you pick him up, you're going to bring him to me. Then he said, okay, we're going to meet at Umhlanga. The meeting is going to be around Umhlanga. They met at the hotel. Mr. Adams is not here. I'm sure he's watching at home. Oyster Box. Oyster Box is a very expensive hotel in Durban. That is where they met, Cat and Snona. Whether inside the hotel or at the parking, I was not there, but they met at the hotel. Because after that, Snona, first time I saw Snona driving a Polo car. You know, this one is driven by these Uber boys, the small car, VW. Snona was driving that car. He called me, he said, I'm with Cat. We are driving this Polo. We are getting out of Oyster Box. So I said, okay, come up because I'm in the vicinity. He gave me the description of the car. I spotted the car. Then I said, okay, I see I'm driving this car in front of you, the Mercedes-Benz. Can you see it? He said, yeah, no, we can see it. I said, okay, follow me. So I drove them down towards Pavilion, not Beverly Hills Hotel, around into Pels. There's a parking at the bottom there for those that know Umhlanga, towards the beach. So we enter in there, into the boom gate. I show my face, the boom gate opens. I go in, I tell security to open for him. They open for them, and they followed me. Some 50 meters we park, we walk we get out of the cars, we walk into the lift, into your apartment. Honorable Chair, that apartment from where we're seated in a 3-seater dining room table, a glass table, can only sit 3 people. Where I'm sitting, at least a meter is the wall. Behind me, a meter, it's another wall. On this side, it's a lounge that will be at least maybe about where Honorable Skosana is seated. That's where the TV is. And on that corner, on that side, which is a good 4 meters or so, is an entrance into the apartment. And on my right, open plan, Honorable Chair, up to where the podium is, which roughly about 4 meters or so, is the sink, the end of the kitchen. So for Snona to say he was busy drinking somewhere, he couldn't hear anything. When we are here, you're talking, a person on TV, a person here can hear everything. It's just the 3 of us, nobody else there. So we said, we spoke. That's when he then gave me this information. The information is about Steve Mutsume. Steve Mutsume is a name that the 68 million people, excluding the independent podcasters, they are the ones that got guts to talk about Steve Mutsume. The rest of media houses in South Africa don't want to research about that person. It's a name that has come out so many times, Steve Mutsume. He told me about Steve Mutsume. He gave me the address of the house of Steve Mutsume. He told me about activities of Spear, how the Spear is collecting money. He told me about the property of Spear that I didn't know. He gave me the address. He told me about the impalas he bought for Spear. This is all coming from CAT voluntarily. I don't have a clue about all these things. The properties in a townhouse in Sentin. So I take note of all these things. And then he asked one thing, but the other one was just a comment which we couldn't do much about it. The first one was, I've got this contract, I've got so many people that I should be paying that I haven't paid, but the police not placing an order. Can you get Gerald Hua to meet up with me so we can discuss and get to hear what is the issue? Then I said, well, I'll talk to Gerald Hua, but I don't know anything about the contract, but I'll talk to her. The feedback will come to Snon. That is one. 2, what is the next thing? The next thing is that I hear that there's investigation in Gauteng on an attempted murder of his ex-girlfriend. What is happening on that? I said, no, don't ask me that question. I'm not in Gauteng, I'm here. I can't even answer any question. If you have issues with it, Gerald Snona is your brother, must talk to Gerald Kumalo and establish what is the issue there. That's how the meeting ended. We left. After leaving, I pick up the phone, I call General Kumalo. I said, Gerald Kumalo, this is information. Here's the address of Mr. Mutsume. Mr. Mutsume he has got a house, standalone house somewhere in Sentin. I just don't know the address now, which I can say, but from the American High Commission in Sentin, for those that know Sentin, if we drive down towards the western side, but to go down the road, Steve Mutsume's house is there, the one that he alleges to be Steve Mutsume. It's a very big house. It's there, because I saw it on Google. He came me, he said, that's a house where Spear collects money. Because I was not satisfied with the information about Spear, he says Spear collects money there, but using the police vehicle and the police driver. And mine to him was, Spear cannot be arrested then, because when you arrest him, he's going to say the money belongs to a driver, not to him. But if he uses a police car to go there, we'll be able to get that on investigation. We need more information about Spear. He said, no, he paid 2 million rand towards his plot. He bought him impalas. All the impala stories came with me, but nobody asked, how do I come up with impala stories? It's because of that meeting. When I spoke about these impalas, I just did not elaborate where I got the stories of the impalas in details. But the impalas come with Cat. The townhouse. Cat says he didn't even know about the townhouse himself. But another foreigner told him about the townhouse. He went to see the townhouse. He saw Spear's cars there. He confirmed, but Cat did not know about the townhouse. So he told me all these stories about Spear, Steve Mutsume, and that fact that Steve Mutsume's property is at Waterfall Estate in Midrand. I've never been to Waterfall Estate.
Can we hear Honorable Sangon?
Thank you, Chair. No, I just wanted us to acknowledge the presence of Honorable Adams. I think Honorable Adams left the TV so he could be here himself. Thank you, Chair.
General mkhwanazi.
Yes, sir.
Behind Honorable Skosana, Behind Honorable Skosana is seated Honorable Adams.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. At least I see him now. I can talk directly.
I was going to ask you a question. Mr. Matsumi, is he also alleged to be one of the Big Five?
I had said, Honorable Chair, with respect, Councillor, as a legal person, you'll know that we cannot, as police, pronounce of people that are not before court. But it's a character that the police officers are afraid to even call his name. It's a character that even the judge at the Matlanga Commission was concerned about the police being so afraid. It's a person that I spoke this morning to Sergeant Kosi, who was sending the communication between me and him to the very same person. So Steve Mutsumi is such a character. I'll leave it there. I don't want to go into details. You can read between the lines.
Yeah. Now, when Mr. Matlala conveyed the fact that there was this meeting that's now a fact that took place between you and him at the Pearl's apartment, his evidence was that he was going to the meeting, brokered by Sonono, but it was going to be in exchange for information that he would give you. You were particularly keen or interested in hearing information about Lieutenant General Sabia, and in return, the quid pro quo for him that motivated him to go to that meeting was that you would assist him with the Medicare contract, which was now being stalled because he wasn't getting any purchase orders. And you're the one who knows Lieutenant General Nkua, who's in charge of the supply chain management.
Yeah, well,
no, that sounds quite plausible, even from what you're telling us.
yeah, well, he was frustrated with the contract. That's why he approached Nona. But in my memory serves me well, it does not say that it's Nona that arranged the meeting. He says it's General Cele. That's a lie that he told. He wanted to protect Nona. But it's Nona that facilitated the meeting. So the meeting was held as per his request. The obvious, when the meeting was held, is because I'd already spoken to Kumalo about the investigation they're busy with and the purpose of what the meeting is all about. So the meeting is then held. I said he then, after sharing this information about Sbia and Steve Mutsumi, he then tells me about his contract and he wants to take Jaron Hua. I said, I'll talk to Jaron Hua, but the feedback I'll give it to Snona because I don't know you. I'm not going to talk to you. That's one. Two, I had said to both of them, Snona and Kat, that the information you're giving me about Sbia, I don't think is sufficient enough to get Sbia arrested. Yes, we're going to investigate the issue of the impalas that you paid for him, but the least can ever happen if we don't have any criminal linkage is that maybe he didn't declare that at workplace. It can only be a departmental thing because he would have received it as a gift. If you have contributed 2 million rand to his property when he bought his property, and again, is it a loan or what is it between the two of them? So the information you're giving me is not strong enough to say Sbia has done these criminal activities. But he kept on saying, no, Sbia is a dangerous man. He controls a lot of things there, investigations and the likes. But I wanted something tangible. Then he says, no, well, we'll arrange something tangible to give it to you. Then I said, but don't give it to me, give it to Kumalo because the investigation is in Gauteng. And I can tell you, Honorable Chair, that subsequent to that meeting, after giving feedback to Jaro Kumalo, Snona made a contact with Jaro Kumalo, and Snona sent one of the TPCI members to go and give a statement to Jaro Kumalo and the team about the corruption that Jaro Sibia is involved with. And Jaro Kumalo can attest to that because the statement was given subsequent to that meeting. So that's what I'm trying to explain, how this, me getting to know Kat existence, the story about Nangi, and the meeting with Kat, the purpose of the meeting and the outcome of the meeting, where the meeting was held, all that, I wouldn't have came here and said, Kat told me A to Z, because I was going to be putting his life in danger. I was going to be compromising the very same investigations that are happening. So I did not invite him. He asked to meet me, and Jaron Hua did talk to her about that. She can attest to that, and it ended there.
Is it quite normal or is it usual for a person in your position or perhaps any police officer investigating a case to meet with someone who is either known or is suspected to be involved in criminal activities, especially the ones seriously alleged about Matlala, in exchange for information? Because by now, before that April meeting, you must have known there were articles about him in the News 24. There were issues around in fact, this very tender where he is seeking you perhaps to intervene and to assist.
In meeting CAT, was CAT coming to give information that is going to assist with the investigation in Pretoria, or in Gauteng specific. So a police officer will meet a person who's providing information, not meeting CAT to socialize and party. I'm meeting CAT because he wants to come and give information. So I've met a lot of people that are, some of them in custody, arrested, and some of them not arrested yet. Some of the people come up front and say, I was part of a crime. I'm here to give you the facts. And they give facts and they incriminate themselves, and we take it to the prosecution, and there's negotiations done, there's less sentences and so forth. So that is part of the investigation. That's why I'm saying that investigation is not in KZN. So when Nona approaches me with that information, I paused him and I said, I don't deal with things here in KZN of CAT. All these investigation of CAT in Gauteng. So let me first verify with a person in Gauteng. That's why I engage with Jared Kumalo and the team. When they say it's fine, I can meet him, that's when I confirm to meet him. Otherwise, I was not going to meet him because I was not going to do anything with the information that he was giving me.
Just to round off on this aspect, what is it that you want to highlight in this WhatsApp exchange with Sonona?
What then happened, Honorable Chair and members, is that last year I'm attending an Interpol conference in Morocco. While I'm in the conference, I received a communication that Kat Matlala is talking about the meeting me and him had in Paris, in Devon. And for me, I was shocked to say this is a person who was snitching to his own people, but he's the one who's introducing the meeting. So I found it interesting. But because I don't communicate with Kat, I then communicate with the person that brought Kat to me. I phoned Jarosnon. Jarosnon didn't answer the phone. I called again, he didn't answer the phone. I then called Jared Kumar, because remember, Jared Kumar knows about this. I phoned Jared Kumar and said, hey, I'm trying to reach Snona because I'm told Kat is talking about the meeting we had, although he's twisting what the purpose of the meeting was, but he's talking about the meeting that we had. And Kumar then says to me, he just laughed it off. He said, you know what, I don't think Snona is going to answer because Snona is scheduled. And then he was going to get caught. I don't know how he came to know, maybe the media that communicated it. Snona is scheduled to appear before the Matlanga Commission on the same day that Kat Matlala is supposed to appear before this committee. So which means the two of them will have most likely spoken against each other if both of them were in these two committees simultaneously. So Snona might have thought, let me excuse myself at the Matlanga Commission so I can listen to this one. So he was excused at Matlanga Commission. That's why he did not present last year. He only went there this year. So when I call him, he's not answering. Then Kumalo says perhaps he's not answering because he knows what his friend is talking about in prison. So then I thought, okay, if they're going to try and make up the story, let me write something to him so that he can be on record. I wrote him a WhatsApp message. And I told him about how he used to tell me about Kat, how he knows Kat. He dictated the meeting, what was discussed in the meeting, how he exposed his syndicates that he operates with, including Jarosbia, in that meeting. But then I closed my message by saying, I'm still going to go to the adhoc committee, and I'm going to come and present this thing on record. I left him like that. Today, Jaros Nono, who's my colleague, who works in the same building with me, who talks to me anytime he wants to, has never called me, has never walked into my office, has never confronted me about that call and the message I sent him. Until in January, when it was a week or two before he goes to the Matlanga Commission.
And then his lawyers and this letter is in the exhibit bundle. There's a letter that his lawyers write to you on the 9th of January. It appears as if the meeting was also recorded.
The lawyers
Have you got the letter?
Yes, I do have. Well, I know what I wrote there without even having to worry, but it's part of the exhibit.
Or maybe just while you're looking to find it, this is from Rudolph Beloy Inc. We act for Major General Lesetia Senona. It's dated 9 January. We refer to the WhatsApp communication on 26 November 2025, which you addressed to Major General Senona, wherein you claim to be in possession of a recording of a meeting held between Lieutenant General mkhwanazi and Usumuzi Kat Matlala on 15 April 2025 at the Pearls Hotel in Umhlanga. Our client accompanied Mr. Matlala to the meeting. They also attach a copy of the WhatsApp communication. The WhatsApp communication came after Mr. Matlala's appearance and testimony at Parliament's adhoc committee to investigate allegations made by Lieutenant General mkhwanazi on 26 November. Major General Senona considers the tone and content of the WhatsApp communication to be threatening and intimidating. In the said communication, you state that Mr. Matlala, by disclosing the meeting of 15 April at the adhoc, invited you to make the recording public, and that in so doing, it will put Mr. Matlala's life at risk. In the course of consulting with and preparing our client's response to the Matlanga Commission, I'm just stating it briefly, Rule 33, notice dated 9 October 2025, it became apparent that the recording you allege to be in possession of is essential to Major General Senona for the purposes of finalizing his response to the Matlanga Commission, which is due on 16 January 2026. In the circumstance where we hereby instructed to demand, we hereby do that you furnish the office with a copy of the alleged recording between the meeting between yourself and Mr. Matlala on or before the 13th of January.
Yeah, no, that is correct. The lawyers on the 9th of January wrote me this letter. What I'm grateful for is that they had attached the WhatsApp that I wrote to Gerald Senona. Honorable Chair, when I wrote, after writing this WhatsApp, I forwarded the same WhatsApp to the Senior Council for record, so that the Senior Council is aware of what's developing. And I think it will have happened when someone was I don't know what case was, or was during Matlala's time, I don't know. But I did send it.
Yeah, it was while we were at Hosimapur.
Hosimapur, yeah, I did send this WhatsApp. In this WhatsApp, Honorable Chair and members, without having to repeat everything that is written here, what is of an interest on the WhatsApp, if I were to summarize, is what I said earlier. The information that Kat Matlala was giving me about Mutsumi, Steve Mutsumi. I still don't know how the name is surname is written, but the pronunciation, it says that Steve Mutsumi and Jarasbia, and the property in Sentin somewhere, properties, and the property in Waterfall Estate, and the property in Centurion, and the Mbalas and everything else. This is information coming from Kat Matlala in the presence of Gerald Senona, his brother. They are sharing this information to me. After writing this, Senona had never confronted me about it until the lawyers sent me this. And the lawyers, if the honorable members were to check, they are not interested in disputing the content of this. The lawyer's interest is to finding out whether do I have this recording that I say I have. They're interested in the recording. They want to find the recording. I did not respond to them. In me not responding to them, Gerald Senona then goes to the Matlanga Commission. He says he was drinking during the meeting. I had invited the Matlanga Commission to go to the same pairs to go and investigate what time did we come in, what time did we leave, what would have got Senona drunk. He was driving a car coming in. For him not to hear what he's talking about. Inspection in law to be done in that apartment, so you can be able to see how far is this kitchen that Senona said he kept going down, up and down, where he couldn't hear, because I've demonstrated how big the place is. or how small the place is. So what was interesting for me is that when Snona, after writing this thing, he copied the Madlanga Commission, which was a good thing for me. I had not presented to them because we did not discuss it there. I presented to the SC because Ket Matlala spoke about it here. So when the Madlanga Commission became aware of this, they contacted me about this, and they had to lead Sinona on his testimony at Madlanga Commission, which include this WhatsApp. When it was time for Sinona to read out the names of the people that they were snitching on, him and Ket Matlala, he refused. He was afraid. His lawyer said, you can Google it and go back on the record of Madlanga Commission. His lawyer said, these people are very dangerous. That Snona cannot read out their names. One of the very dangerous people in this message is Gerald Sibia. These are words from Gerald Snona with his lawyer, that he cannot read out his name. I'm the author of the WhatsApp. His was only to read the WhatsApp, because he did not write it, I wrote it. But because he knows the content that is the fact, he's afraid to read out the names, because this Mutsume is going to know that Snona and Ket, they were snitching on him. Therefore, he might have to deal with him somehow. That was the only reason that made Sinona be afraid to read. That took the judge at the Madlanga Commission to overrule and forced him to read the names. So he read the names under duress before the Madlanga Commission. So, honorable members, this is a clear indication that the content of what is discussed at Paris, I put it on the WhatsApp that will be read by Snona, and Snona was afraid to read them. If he didn't know Mutsume, if he didn't know how dangerous beer is, what would have made him to be afraid to read this? Because this was the actual fact of what we discussed on the day. So that's what I was giving it to him, that he must not lie before the commission, because that's what the meeting is about. In actual fact, I preface this WhatsApp by saying, if I were to quote, you made arrangement that I meet this guy, Ket, because he's your friend and brother, and he needed my help to speak to Jaran Hua to place orders on his contract. I don't hide that. It's there, because that was a main thing that he wanted to come to me. And then he volunteered in information about the house in Sentin, where Sbia collects money using the state vehicle, and that he, Ket, paid over 2 million rand towards Sbia's purchase of a plot. And he also told me about Sbia's townhouse. The fact that he's the one who introduced this meeting at the committee, so I go on and say, he invites me to come and make this information available before this committee. And he therefore must not accuse me. That's what I say on the almost another paragraph. I hope you won't blame me for risking his life because I have to tell the truth about our meeting. I was well aware when they were giving me this information that they were snitching on their crew. And one of their crews is Gerald Sibia and Steve Mutsumi. They were snitching on them. And that's why he was afraid to read these two names on record before the country watching. Well, he's not the only one. We had even the judge made remarks, being worried because another Shibiri who works under Sibia was afraid to read another name before the Madlanga Commission. That tells you that there are powerful people out there that they have been feared by the top generals in the police. That's why the judge even was concerned about it, that if the generals are afraid, who then is going to protect the citizens? So this is a background behind why I had to write this. It was because I wanted to put on record clear that what Matlala was presenting before you was not the facts. These were the facts. Kumalo, subsequent to this meeting, will show you the affidavit and the member that was sent by Sbia and the communication between Kumalo and Sbia after this meeting as a follow-up and the further information out of this meeting that was provided. I'm not privy to that. I don't have the details about, but I know they met and they provided further information in this regard. So that's all about the meeting at PALS that I might want to explain, and not unless any further questions.
These allegations, especially the ones against Sabia, have they been followed up? They've been investigated? Why is he not? He's under suspension. That's his current status, is it?
The jurisdiction, almost everything that is presented to me, I said this, what information was going to bring me, are activities happening in Gauteng. So the people that I know they are part of that investigation is that Gauteng organized crime investigation team, the counter investigation team that is in Gauteng. So this information must go to them for further investigation. So if I get information, I will only share with them. So the details of what are they, how far are they with the investigation, I think they're in a better position to come and present. I'm in KZN, I can tell you, Honorable Chair and members, that 200 million rand worth of drugs were lost in KZN. And that worried me. But that case docket is with DPCI and the National Office also. But on my own digging on the side, I've discovered things. That's why I'm engaging with the DPP about it.
Okay.
Which unfortunately seems to link the very same characters we're talking about in Gauteng.
Just talking about drugs getting lost while we have the benefit of having you here, there was also, and your reference to Honorable Adams, there's also, do you know of a Cape Town case where there was also seizure of a substantial, I'm not sure what the amount was, maybe over 200 million of drugs, hard drugs, I think mandrakes, seized. But when he made further inquiries about the matter, it appeared as if the drugs were gone, they were lost. And the only inference that he can draw is that those drugs are now out on the street, and they've been put on the street by dishonest SEPS members.
Honorable Chair.
Maybe you can help us with what's
Honorable
happening.
Chair, I'm not in Western Cape, so I will not necessarily have the details, but in having listened and watched this commission on television, the Honorable Mr. Adams, when he presented here, when he was asked the question, how did he know about it? He said he was told. So the moment the person says that, but he's 100% sure this is what happened, it is questionable. What I said before, and I'm going to say again, South Africans must know, you must know, that drugs in the main that are found in crime scene, me as a provincial commissioner, I cannot guarantee 100% that entire consignment that is found in the crime scene is the same consignment that lands at forensic. It's the same consignment that is destroyed. Firearms are found in crime scene. On register, they are destroyed, but the police find the same firearm in another crime scene. So if it can happen with guns, the likelihood is that it can happen with drugs. The belief, the intelligence we get is that the information at hand, the honorable members that are within the police committee can tell you, the police does not test 100% of the consignment we get in our forensic. We don't.
Do you share the view of Lieutenant General Kumalo that some 90% of SEPS officers in Gauteng are on some or other payroll of these drug syndicates?
I might not talk about the percentage, but what I can talk about, Honorable Chair and members, that I've said before, we have three categories of employees in the organization. We have the hard-working ones that are straight to the point and they're fighting crime. We have the corrupt one in the opposite that are participating in the wrong. And we have the missing middle who don't want to act and just turn a blind eye on what is happening, the lazy ones. So some of them are influenced by fear and for them not to act. So if you fail to act where you're supposed to act as a police officer, you're as good as a bad one. So those are the categories of employees we have. I don't have the figures. I cannot talk about percentages, 90% and so forth. But by and large, the biggest problem of wrong that is done by the South African Police Service in the country, you'll find it in all provinces, but mainly we'll find it in Gauteng. And mainly, you'll find it in the borders. The border police, good percentage of the members working there, they're not good. A big percentage, I won't put a number. In Gauteng province, majority of the members that are working there are not necessarily doing good things. But I'm the one that came here and said, 2 junior members, sergeants, they started this chaos, if we call it a chaos, but they uncovered these problems that we've been talking about in Gauteng. Those are the 2 members that invited Jara Kumalo to join them and his team. It's those 2 members that led into other detectives and other members to join them. Those 2 members that led me in KZN to become involved. Unfortunately, they are still sergeants. Despite all that, they are still remain sergeants. They are still not sleeping at home. They're in Gauteng. So we can't say the entire Gauteng is bad. And we can't say the entire Gauteng is good. We must accept that we have quite a lot of bad apples amongst us.
Yeah, General Masemola yesterday described it as perhaps as an exaggeration, but he also said that as far as he was concerned, most of the police officers are honest and hardworking. But he also added another category, the missing middle.
I gave you 3 categories, not all of them are hardworking. Yeah. A good percentage, yes, but there's also a good percentage not. So to what percentage it is between the 2, I cannot tell. But I know, and I'm going to demonstrate here in these next few hours about the connections that Mr. Adams has that led into him finding himself in prison in KZN to come and give you a statement from an arrested person. It's a testimony that's coming. That's a bad thing in KZN.
Yeah. Now, if we can just go to the briefing of the 6th of July, and you've got the memorandum which we also made available to the committee. During the press briefing, you made these allegations: an organized crime syndicate, drug cartel is infiltrating the criminal justice system. Is that still your view?
That is correct, Honorable Chair.
Then you say the incident that triggered the disbandment of the PKTT was the arrest of Mr. Katiso Molefe on the 6th of December, who is believed to be one of the members of the syndicate. Is that still your view?
That's correct.
Senior members of the security cluster who are associated with the crime syndicate issued instructions without the authority of the National Commissioner for the removal of case dockets. That's a reference to General Sabia, is it?
That's correct.
A potentially corrupt relationship existed between an alleged associate of the Minister of Police, named as Mr. Brown Mkhwanazi, and the Minister of Police, Mr. Mkhunu. Is that still your view?
That is correct.
A potentially corrupt relationship existed between Mr. Vusumuzi Matlala, who was awarded a police healthcare contract of over 360 million rand in 2024, Brown Mkhwanazi and Minister Mkhunu. Is that still your view?
That is correct.
That a member of parliament used potentially classified information that was passed from crime intelligence officials to register cases against crime intelligence officials. This member also sent communication to the Minister of Police and requested him to refer the matter to an independent investigative body to investigate these matters. Is that a reference to Honorable Adams?
That's correct.
And the reference to the independent, that's a reference to the matter ending up with IDEC that then resulted in the arrest of Lieutenant General Kumalo.
That is correct.
Then you also say unnamed prosecutors in Gauteng are part of a crime syndicate, which also involves politicians, law enforcement, that includes SAPS, Metro Police and Correctional Services, judiciary, and is controlled by drug cartel as well as business people. That's still your view?
Yes.
These unnamed prosecutors, are they unnamed because of classified information that you have, or are they unnamed because you don't know who they are, Either you've been told who they are or you suspect who they are, but can you not share it with us?
Well, it is known who they are, some of them, but we cannot share because this investigation is conducted.
Does the same apply to politicians?
Yeah, well, we've named some politicians that are part of this, that are enabling it. When I mention the role of politicians, and maybe, I don't know if you want me to qualify this in some instance. Honorable Chair and members, I had spoken about Honorable Adams, I've spoken about Honorable Kola Barnard, amongst others, that are politician, Minister Mkhunu. But I must indicate that our leaders of society, which is our politicians, might not necessarily be involved with the bad things at the beginning, but because of the corrupt members within, they capture these leaders and they use them. And to extent that when the leader then is used, it either becomes aware but continues doing the wrong. If he's not aware, once this thing is made, is brought to his or her attention, and that leader is expected to pull back and then start asking questions. And a classic example of that is me saying, that Minister Mkhunu was new in the organization. I believe, I'm still saying Honorable Sangoni, that Minister Mkhunu was captured to end up writing that letter. But he doesn't accept that. He owns it. Yes, I understand. He typed the letter in his own iPad. The iPad that when he came here and the others said the information was deleted because they went to erase, when the information was taken by the team that was investigating, gadgets were taken. The gadgets were taken, and when the gadgets were analyzed, the information was deleted. All of them are deleted. Minister deletes information from the government document, gadget. They delete it. But as I said before, you delete, we retrieve. So we have the information. We know that indeed, he wrote a letter, he typed it himself, he sent it to his chief of staff sent it to the PA. What sits in the letter is an electronic signature, it's not Mkhunu signing it. It's a secretary that places the signature there. The document comes back to the minister instructs that distribute. And the chiefs of staff distribute. We then feel, okay, that's how it lands to Mkhunu, because while it's distributed to the official email address, there's a private email address where the same document is sent to by the chief of staff on the same day. So I still believe, I'm still convinced that Minister Mkhunu was made to do what he did. He was made to do what he did. So it's many other leaders that are made to do what they do. But some of them, then they find joy in it and they go with it. But when we put here the issue of politicians participating, it's because politicians become enabler. Because in the instance of the minister, is controlling the organization. For the minister to write a letter and stop the filling of vacancies, and suddenly a year down the line, we have no head of crime intelligence because of that letter. If the minister decides shut down this team, and the process is undertaken to shut down the team, that will compromise investigation. Honorable Chair and members, when Kumal and them were arrested, that entire CGI ops operation came to a standstill. Those junior members couldn't sleep at home, could not get paid, could not do anything because the money and resources needed to come from crime intelligence, and they put a stop on it. Honorable Adams is not here now. Millions of rands were spent by crime intelligence from the secret fund account between the time Kumal was arrested and the time when they came back. That they are busy auditing now to try and justify before the Auditor General, when the Auditor General is going to come and audit. So that shows the extent of the problems that we had. So the investigation were frustrated by that arrest. Until they were released, allowed to go back to work, then they continue working. So without going to details, Honorable Ms. Kola Barnard, she's the first to get a phone call when a member of crime intelligence was arrested, Gerald Shaba, comes back from prison, straight back to work. The members of crime intelligence, because they did not want them there, they pick up a phone and they conduct the honorable member. The honorable member is quick on the pen. She writes a question from Parliament. National Commissioner, why are you violating the court order? Why is this man doing there? What she did not know is that Lushaba did not receive the court order, which was similar to Khumalo. The magistrate was sober. He said, me as a magistrate, I'm not going to prescribe where must go. I'm releasing you on bail. The state did not oppose this. So go back to work. He landed in the office. What came out of that is a honorable member that writes a letter saying the National Commission is violating the law. You must arrest Lushaba. So this is just to show you how the politicians have been used. She received the response, but she was fed the wrong information. So she will end up with the stigma of saying she's working with the team because they don't verify information. You take it and you jump and you run with it. You know, I respect the leaders of society. Honorable Adam sitting here, we still call him honorable. Despite the fact he called himself a thief, that we still call him honorable. The reality is, once they start getting involved as leaders on things that are supporting the rot within the justice system, working with the criminals outside, business people outside, it then compromise our leaders. Each one of the parliamentarians, they represent millions of South Africans, so we cannot undermine their presence here. Regardless of how they behave, they represent people, so we must respect that. I will still call them honorable, despite how I feel. But it's that which I want to indicate as we have it here, that yes, the members, the politicians and the members of parliament, they still participate in things that they shouldn't participate in. So I will ask that they will have to pause next time they receive information, interrogate information coming before them so that they make an informed decisions.
What we also see in the directive, Minister Mkhwanazi's directive of 31 December 2024, is a reference to not filling posts in crime intelligence and the reference to the border police, border management. Did that surprise you, or is that unrelated to the termination of the political Killing Stars team, the disestablishment of that team? Or do you connect those three things? And if so, why do you connect them?
Yeah, Honorable Chairperson and members, I think we're going to, maybe when we, SC, talk further, be able to dissect the whole letter with those topics.
Yes, I'm asking you now because I may not get there.
Yeah, PKTT is disbanded. The filling of vacancies at crime intelligence and the border issues. On the first, when I looked at it first, what affected me as a provincial commissioner was the first one, the PKTT, because it operates in KZN, nowhere else. That's what worried me. I said, but why would the minister come and dispense something that is here, that I'm in charge of, without talking to me? So it is that investigation that we started doing, because right at the onset, I'm a disciplined person that wants to talk to the minister, to try and establish, Minister, somebody might have fed you the wrong information. That's why I reached out to Ngabinde and said, hey, can you get the minister, the three of us sit down, so we can talk about it, so I can establish exactly what's happening. But instead, what I get, I'm being recorded as if I'm threatening the minister. I'm glad that recording was played here. So you have to tell me as lawmakers that it's clear the minister is the one who instructed Ngabinde to record. Is that not a violation of the law? I'll leave it to you to advise me on that one. What should I do with that? But they record me because there's a certain agenda that has been pushed. The minister is fair. Had I called the minister directly, perhaps he wouldn't be here, because he would have realized what he's been made to do. That is wrong. So that's what was the problem. But the second part of filling of vacancies, I did not understand. But as I started paying attention to what's happening at crime intelligence, then I realized that it is crime intelligence that influence him. That minister must not allow these vacancies to be filled, because they're going to be filled by people that they cannot control. And I thought, okay, this is what's coming. But what about the borders? So when we link the chain and we realize there's criminality, and majority of the criminality of ours, what is investigated, that link the PKTT, touch the borders, because these drugs come from South America into the country mostly. Could it be that there's something to do with the borders? Until Gerald Musikiti arrived here and she submitted this statement about their engagement with the minister, which made her realize that the minister is talking about the borders because the minister wants the police to withdraw from the borders and hand over this whole policing of the borders to the border management agency. So it's all these things that become clear as the time progresses that ordinarily I didn't know about it at the onset. But as we're putting it together, we were linking it with the drugs. But the latter, why intelligence, why the borders, we didn't understand. But as the time progresses, then we start realizing, okay, this is how all these three subjects are so important to the minister on the 31st of December.
Was this letter of the 31st of December 2024 also a prelude or precursor to you and General Masamolo possibly being arrested, or that your arrest was now imminent?
Honorable
Because
Chair,
you
members.
had the theory that you called this press conference on the 6th of July to preempt your arrest.
Honorable Chair and members, I've said it before that I'm going to invite you, if honorable members are not going to get to that, but it should be on the annex, the affidavit from BMA that involves that sergeant.
Yes.
That he had ran with the abducted person to Mozambique illegally. So BMA says so, that he crossed to Mozambique without going through the system. And he only came through the system when he came back. The statement under oath.
Yeah, you can refer to the letter. It's the Home Affairs. It's in the bundle.
It's in a bundle.
Yeah. Lot was.
Yeah,
It's item 5, honorable members. No. Which page?
I'm not seeing it here on my bundle. But, honorable Chair members, if you do have in your bundle, then it's fine. I know of an affidavit that was it. This. Oh yeah.
It's immediately.
Yeah. Here's the Home Affairs.
After the handwritten letter.
Yeah. So this is a person that the team investigating the kidnapping tells me they are tracing this. They found Nangi and they chased Nangi to Mpumalanga to a house. The man is not there in the house. They follow to other addresses. They are told the man has crossed to Mozambique with the victim. And the victim was released 2 weeks later and dumped next to the garage in the north of KZN, next to Mozambique border at Mangus. And was blindfolded, he did not know. But the DNA of the victim was found in the very same house that is alleged to be burned, which is a very interesting thing. The DNA of the victim was discovered by forensic in the house that was allegedly burned, which confirms that the person was kept in that house. So it's a very interesting thing that comes with this sergeant that is allowed to come here by Mr. Adams. Home Affairs says this man did not cross the border. The information the team says he ran with a criminal into Mozambique. Home Affairs says he didn't cross it. When he came back with a temporary passport arranged by the commission that side, this is how he was registered coming back into the country. This is a man that is a police officer who's been working in that border police for many years. It's a police officer who runs a funeral parlor. I wonder what has been moved with those funeral parlors between Mozambique and South Africa. I want the parliament to investigate such. These are credibility of the people that came here. But nonetheless, he speaks about the imminent arrest, a case I mentioned open in Johannesburg. Sinona says to me, he speaks to Nangi to drop the charges. It's a year later. I have not been approached by Apita about that matter. He comes with Mr. Adams to Cape Town to lay the same complaint that is registered in Johannesburg. hoping maybe there's going to be a different team. I won't be surprised if that case is now with IDEC. Because it seems like Mr. Adams has found a different way of making sure cases are investigated. But when he thinks that I'm going to be arrested, I would have been arrested a year long before that. But I was still there. The reason for me talking on the 6th of July had nothing to do with that, but it was the effort that one had tried to communicate, to try and find intervention. Maybe in our communication, or Honorable Cameron will say, you did not present clear during the 5th of March meeting of the Portfolio Committee the issues that you were worried about. Maybe the committee would have acted differently. Well, we can take that. Perhaps we did not present it. But I felt that now I've tried this, and I was afforded an opportunity, I've tried it. The minister is still denying knowing Brown and all sorts of things. It's clear something's happening here. Fortunately, the very same IDEC, with members that are inside IDEC that are sharing information with me, I was able to know before Khumalo is arrested. I told Khumalo that when you leave Cape Town, when you land at the airport, it will find you there. And that's exactly what happened. When I got information from IDEC, the National Commission, when you touch down in Cape Town, they're going to arrest you. The plan now is to put Sbia as acting. So that's information I had to share because it was coming from the people that are investigating, that have been told, do this now, do that now, do this. Because they had failed to get Sbia at DPCI because of his age. And the next plan was, let's remove the National Commission so that it can take charge. Not because there's a legitimate case, but things were going to be alleged. But that was not the reason for the press briefing, in the main.
Okay, as can you pause a little, can you take Honorable Sangoni?
I'm sorry, Chair. No, it's just been bothering me a lot since the morning. General mkhwanazi keeps saying that witness Mlojwa, who was brought here by Adams. Can I just get clarity? I thought Mlojwa was a public participation witness, or is that evidence that's still going to be led?
Mlojwa is from Mpumalanga, honorable members. Mlojwa, since his arrest to date, he has never seen the doors of his office. He's a member, has been booking off sick ever since. His last sick note was in last month. He has still been on sick. But Mr. Adams brought him in one of the corridors here of Parliament with a television while you were busy inside. They were having a press briefing outside. I think days before he came before you. So he was brought by him from Mpumalanga to come here. From after the press briefing, they went to the police station to open a case on that assault that he was talking about, which is the same case that was opened in Johannesburg. So they went to police station to open a case. Fast forward, he come and sit on this chair. So it's a person who was arranged for him to come and talk bad about Joram Mkhwanazi. That's how we landed here.
So the evidence is that Mr. Mlojwa would have used the procedural process of Parliament to appear. Because I think what is bothering Honorable Sangoni is that it may appear as though that he is a witness that was submitted to the committee by Honorable Adams.
Honorable Chair, Acting Chair, I will take that. I cannot prescribe because I do not know how the members decide on listening to a person. I like to believe that you are presented with a witness by someone else who brings this person to you, and then you deliberate and you accept the person. But for the person to come to you, be presented before you, he had arrived in Cape Town a few days before that, and a police officer who's off sick at his workplace, and his address is in Mpumalanga. So for him to travel from there, come here, have a press briefing, go to a police station, 2 days later is in Parliament. From the layman point of view, you might conclude that perhaps this has been part of the arrangement. But I take that, and I don't want it any way to accuse a committee for having done wrong. But what I meant to say, he came here and was accepted to appear before the commission, present the story. Thank you.
Did you want to make a follow-up?
No, Chair. Honorable Sangoni requested a follow-up when you're outside.
Yeah.
So that's what we're closing. That's why I was taking back to the SC. Now, Honorable Tais is doing another follow-up.
I allow you to recognize her.
Honorable Tais, you are duly recognized.
Acting Chairperson, Your last day for acting. Lieutenant General, so you're saying that he opened a case in Cape Town regarding the torture?
I'm told so.
Or his alleged torture, rather.
I'm told so.
A few days ago, before he appeared here.
That's correct.
And then he also reported here that a case was already opened in Houghton Police Station almost a year ago. So
That's
it's
correct.
all the same thing.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. We just need to get the case number and follow up on that. Thank you.
Yeah. Evidence leaders, you can proceed. If members eat your time at 1:30, you must indicate to me how much time you lost to members, and I will compensate you. It is their decision that you must finish at 1:30, remember.
General,
Yes, sir.
yeah, we were just going through the list of items that you mentioned in your press briefing, and at 6.8, you refer to unnamed judges, magistrates as part of the crime syndicate, which again also involves politicians. We didn't. Do you have names for us? Again, is it what you know but you can't disclose? Has it been communicated to you that you can't give the names, or do you have names and for some reason you can't make it known to us?
Yeah, honorable chair and members, at times I know we are in a country that is governed by the legislation, so we have to follow the law on things. That's why we cannot name a person if we have not necessarily arrested a person or have an evidence presented before you that says a person did A to Z. However, we have evidence that is part of the criminal investigations where recordings and documentations are available as part of the case dockets, where the actions of officials that are given a responsibility to make sure that the law is upheld are deliberately manipulating that. So a classic case that I'll put before you. I'm not saying that this is a person that I'm accusing of, but here's a classic case. Bail conditions in our country are prescribed, but the powers for bail are given to the presiding officers. So when a presiding officer abuses the powers that they're given in order to benefit certain individuals, the only recourse that the person has is to go through the prescribed legal process that might take time. So while you're undergoing that process, the evil deeds that are planned, they continue. So I'll draw your attention to a typical example that not me, but the judge have said it, which I made a reference to Ms. Barnard, what happened with the release of one of the police officers that was arrested. The magistrate released the man and says, go back to work. But another magistrate released other people on the same case. And the magistrate says, do not enter any premises of crime intelligence in the country. Now, I'm drawing comparison from the two professionals in the same court. Why would they come up with those conclusions? Call it an error. But they've been to court to try and argue this thing. The very same magistrate doesn't want to listen to them. He keep postponing until eventually he want to withdraw himself from that case. The magistrate, the court says the magistrate erred in coming up with a general. In coming up, allow me. The magistrate erred in coming up with a bail condition that the state did not ask for. So in that case, I'm using that as a typical example.
Yeah, but is that enough to infer
No,
that,
but
that these magistrates or judges who make mistakes, they make it all the time, every day. Everyone involved in the criminal justice system. That's why we have a system of appeals from the lower court to the highest court, so that mistakes and errors can be corrected. But my question is that sufficient for you to draw a conclusion or an inference that these magistrates, where one differs with the other, even in the same court, the same set of facts, that they are necessarily involved with crime syndicates or that they corrupt?
Honorable Chair and members, SC, I said the information in writing, information in recording of people talking is part of the investigation in criminal dockets that have been investigated. But the evidence that we're bringing to you is that typical example. Here is the team that is investigating drug squad in Gauteng. The team that get arrested on cases that you and me, you'll agree that at the first place they should not even have been arrested. But they get arrested. As if that is not enough. This team is barred from entering crime intelligence offices in the country. Let it sink in, SC. It is a magistrate that exercises a bail condition that the state did not ask for. What does that do? It puts on hold the entire investigation in Gauteng. I told you that these junior members are not sleeping at home. So they have to be paid for in accommodation, not the 5-star accommodation that has been alleged. But they must be paid accommodation where they must stay. They must get subsistence allowance where they are staying. They've got labor rights to work overtime and be paid. So they need resources. They are not getting this. Simply because the court decided that they must not participate in those things. I don't think if you get what I'm saying. Call it a mistake of the magistrate, but it's a deliberate to frustrate this part. And it becomes clear. So we don't need to say you have been part of this, but your action is assisting this. And I'm going to repeat again, see, maybe not getting me. We did not say Mr. Mkhwanazi is part of the syndicate. Remember we said that. We did not say that. We say he's an enabler for the criminality to thrive. We want to bring it to his attention. He does not want to listen. Instead, he's allowing this criminality to thrive by his action. So it's that what we are bringing to the attention of this parliament, that not to say that everyone that we've named have 100% contributed to this, but majority of them are the enabler of the wrong. So if people come to you for assistance and you help them, you are participating. Yes, the end result of a person to move drugs from point A to point B is to make money with drugs. But you're a police officer of the law, you hold a roadblock on the road. If a person says, make sure there's no roadblock, and he gives you money, he doesn't tell you what the reason why you must not have a roadblock is, because he's going to be moving something. He just simply say, make sure there's no roadblock. Oh, if there's a roadblock, tell me. It ends there with you. And you do that. You share that information, there's a roadblock at that point. That's enough. This person knows I must not go that route, I must take another route. You are participating indirectly so. So these presiding officers, we cannot say they are making honest errors. Because we've seen that I'm not a lawyer myself. I'm a police officer. So some things just don't make sense when the courts or the presiding officers are exercising their judicial powers on decisions that they take. Yes, I know the recourse of that is to launch investigations. But while we're launching investigations, things fall apart. And what we're on the verge of doing in this country was to hand over the country to the people that were going to control it. Honorable Chair and members, had the National Commission been removed, for whatever reason, SBIA would have become the acting National Commission. That one I can tell you. Members of IDEC that were investigating told me that.
Okay. Now, the bail conditions of Lieutenant General Khumalo, they were set aside on review. You don't have or didn't see the judgment of the reviewing court that set aside that decision, because the reason why I'm asking is that that court, if there is a written judgment, would have indicated the extent of the magistrate's errors, if they were errors and whether they were honest errors or whether they were deliberate oversights or whatever. You don't have can't give us a reference to that judgment.
No, I do not have.
Okay. Now, if we can move on from there, we've dealt with the 6th of...
In actual fact, maybe honourable members who can allow me, I'm sorry to interject, see. A week before the court made that ruling, I had travelled from KZN to Pretoria, and I pleaded with my boss to allow these members to go back to work. Our legal head is here, he can tell you that. I pleaded with him. I stayed in Pretoria until midnight. And the National Commission allowed them. He wrote letters and he gave it to them. A week before the court came with the ruling. Why did I do that? It is simple because the employer had already cleared them. The employer had already cleared them. So I did not see the reason why they are not allowed to do their work if the employer have cleared them. So, but they said not doing the work long after they were cleared. So it was that what frustrating me. But more than them going back to work, it was about the junior members that were being frustrated on their investigation because there was no leadership to support them during that investigation. So they were frustrated sitting on their own after having sacrificed their lives in exposing this rot, but they were not getting the support from management because the people that supposed to support them were told or were barred from entering the premises of intelligence.
General, my colleague Advocate mkhwanazi has just referred me to the to the judgment. I think it's a bit further on. I'm just looking for the part where the court criticizes the SWOT analysis. You had it. Yeah. No, what they say about the court. Just they refer to in fact, the last paragraph or second last paragraph of the court's decision. It's a single judge decision. The finding is that the court acquis decision to impose the bail condition appeal against was made without identifying any supporting facts. It is arbitrary and incorrect and does not reflect a proper exercise of judicial discretion. So for you, this is an example of where a presiding officer makes decisions not supported by the facts, exercises a wrong discretion, and this enables the people involved, the drug dealers, the cartel, to continue operating.
Yes, indeed, Honourable Chair and members. it's a worrying factor because you can see deliberately that it's not a mistake. It's a deliberate act.
Okay. Now, just to get to the press briefing, just what triggered the press briefing, and what steps, if any, did you take to avoid having such a press briefing? Were you compelled to have one by circumstances, and what were those circumstances?
Yeah, well, Honorable Chair, I said it before last year when I presented that I had reached out to the National Commission. I tried to reach out to the author of the letter, the minister, within a day after learning of this letter. And I was not granted an opportunity. I tried again to reach out to the minister later part of the year. He still would not afford me the opportunity. I tried to engage with the National Commissioner to raise concern about this and to try and get the minister to sit around the table, and that was not successful. I reached out to Honorable Cameroon, and I think it was in February when I asked Honorable Cameroon to allow me to appear before this portfolio committee so we can talk about this. And I'm grateful to the Honorable Cameroon that he did allow me, gave me that opportunity. Although the meeting could not sit in February, there were postponements. I think it was scheduled to sit twice until it ended up in March. And we appear in March, and we raise these issues, but the minister just dismissed it. And later, I learned that there was a meeting on the 6th, the day after the portfolio committee, where this matter that I had raised was discussed, and I was not even invited to be that meeting. Then subsequent to that meeting, there was another meeting in Johannesburg where they were discussing the same issues. So a lot of things that had happened, which I tried to inquire about. I wrote letters to Kumari to explain why the dockets were taken. And I raised this thing with the National Commission. I asked the National Commission, did you authorize these dockets to move? He said he didn't. And I pleaded for him to give me a statement to confirm that. So it was my last option to say there are three arms of government. And all three of them are appointed by the people of this country. If we are trying through the executive, the minister seems to be supporting the wrong that is happening. And I'm talking to my boss to get through to the president about this thing, and I'm not getting any positive response. That means the executive is not helping me and the team. So then I moved to the legislature, parliament, hence the 5th of March. But what comes out of it, it doesn't seem to go deeper into this. And for me, I feel maybe there's nothing else I can do. Because what I see here, the other third arm of government, which is judiciary, seems to be part of this chaos. You just read the judgment. So a procedure to judiciary is for me to write and take this long for an investigation to be conducted that will come with the result after a year. And this is quite urgent. So what else do I do? Let me then tell South Africans that the three arms of government that supposed to help guide against this wrong, it seems to me that we have failed to convince these three arms of government to deliver or to assist us. It was in that's why I cannot blame all of them, because Parliament can only engage with one committee out of hundreds of committees here. Majority of members sitting maybe didn't have a clue about what was going on. They will say if they were in that committee, they would have dealt with it differently. I agree. In executive, it was the minister that we were trying to reach out to, but via the National Commissioner. I didn't go to the president. The president might turn around and say, but you never brought this thing to me, Mkhwanazi. So why are you complaining? But I couldn't get directly. I could only via the National Commission to get there. So it's a frustration I have. The Chief Justice might turn around and say, but Mkhwanazi never brought this thing to my attention. But how do I get to the Chief Justice? Again, I must write via my boss to take it to that route. So those are all platforms that I felt in. This thing has got to a stage that, and I told the National Commissioner, give these facts to the president. And the National Commissioner asked, give me the content. We prepared the content and we gave it to the National Commissioner, we were supposed to discuss with the president. And then we left. So when I was at I felt it is important for me to present this content. We can't wait anymore. That's why we presented it on the 6th.
And the role of the media, you had this press conference. It was prominently, very widely advertised. The example of Kat Matlala's tender It appeared in the media, it was investigated. In fact, we heard from General Masimola, it's quite worrying, that had this not been raised by Minister Mkhunu, in a briefing they held on the 24th of December, just almost a week before the directive, where he flagged the award of the tender to Katmatlala. That was as a result of the media. Now we know, I don't think we need to debate that these media and media platforms are used for many different reasons, different purposes, different people, different agendas, different narratives. But will you accept that the media, together with Parliament, the courts, the people of this country, have an important role to play in addressing and correcting many of the things that you've highlighted that are wrong? Many things in this country have been exposed because we have a free press. You agree?
No, 100%. 100%. I agree. I've said when we were doing the press briefing on the 6th of January that if it was not for media, the South Africans were not going to hear us. Thanks to the media that we could hear. Thanks to the very same media that makes South Africans to be informed about what's happening here. But to the extent that the bad ones amongst us do capture some officials of the media, we must not turn a blind eye that we have the bad ones. I've raised some journalists. There is one typical example, and I must say, and I've said it before, a media house employs people. The journalists that are employed, some of them are in the pocket of the wrong people. One typical example is this: when a senior investigator, Bongani Mtakane from the Sunday World, I'm not inviting you to go and read Sunday World because they're going to make money out of you. But they've got a tendency of writing a lot of negative things. Here is an investigating officer. You might have heard of a matter of Calvin Matibeti that I'm in court with recently. In his office, I'm not saying him, but in his office, someone is asking for an ID number of an individual. They give the name, say, profile this individual, want his ID number. They get the ID number. That ID number lands with this journalist. Here's it. And this journalist writes a media inquiry to the South African Police Service and puts this ID number and says, so and so with this ID number, explain his role in the police. We don't respond because we say, POPI doesn't allow us to come and talk about details of people. But the journalist does, writes to the Minister of Police. He says, Minister of Police, I've sent this complaint to this question to the police, they don't want to respond. That's how desperate this Dagane person is. And to date, they have not published a story, but we have the media inquiry from him. So I'm just simply saying that amongst the media, they cannot be clean. If we are saying in the police we've got bad ones, the media might be as bad as we have. So we can't say journalists are good. Media is important as much as the police is important.
Yes, we've got bad people all over the place.
Yeah, so it mustn't be conceived.
Media all over, and as you pointed out, prosecutors, judges, magistrates, politicians. Our best chance and our best hope is to ensure that the good prevail over the bad.
That's correct.
And that is why your media briefing on the 6th was so critically important, because it has opened up what a lot of people have known and suspected for many years.
Yep.
So that's good. So, but you don't close down certain institutions, for example, the media, or restrict just because of that. You're going to always have bad media, bad press, bad journalists. I'm going to ask my colleague, Ms. mkhwanazi, to deal with just to ask about an update on events subsequent to the 6th of July.
Good afternoon, General.
Yes, ma'am.
I intend to refer to the events or rather from paragraph 9 onwards of the memorandum, the items listed therein. And in doing so, General, in that paragraph, those paragraphs, you deal with an update of subsequent events that followed after you made the press briefing. And you refer to the establishment of the Matlanga Commission and the Adhoc Commission. Now we know in the Matlanga Commission as well as this commission committee, you had a graph where you made reference to the cartel and where you refer to the various role players that were involved in the implementation of the directive, like Mr. Nkabinde, Minister Mkhunu, and also General Kalen. You had a graph where you indicate the respective roles that they played. I'm trying to get the diagram thrown up so that when you provide us an update of events and to the extent that you can, speak about your subsequent investigations and the outcomes thereof. Chair, if I can just be assisted to have the diagram, there's Mr. Romano now, to just put up the diagram so that General mkhwanazi can just speak to that. General, while Mr. Romano is putting up the diagram, maybe let's start with, we now know that the Matlanga Commission was established and this committee was subsequently established. You've spoken about your perception of the committee and that you've been watching the manner in which the witnesses that have been called, which you recommended and which other witnesses recommended. Do you have a particular view before we get into the issues, and did you want to identify certain issues that came out of evidence that were given by those witnesses that could assist in you giving an update on subsequent events?
Yes, Honorable Chair, I said in my opening remarks that while I appreciate the decision taken by the Speaker of Parliament to establish this committee, and also appreciate the President of the Republic from when he appointed the judge to preside over the commission that is running in Pretoria. But one being a citizen in the country, taking time through the media to watch the proceedings as they unfold, we get to notice what is happening at the Matlanga Commission, and we also get to see what's happening before this House. And the concerns that one will have, appreciating, as I said earlier, the long hours that the honorable members are putting into this, sacrificing your sleep and stuff like that, and interrogating facts. But when we see committee members that have a posture of seem to suggest that they are in a corner of mkhwanazi, or they're in a corner of Mkhoti, or they're in a corner of Sbia, or they're in a corner of Mkhunu, and so forth. It is that is disturbing for me. I expect honorable members to keep neutral. A one person who said, I'm not saying that he's a good person, Honorable Souls, when one person says that person is driving a particular agenda, and I said to that person, Honorable Souls might be analyzing things in his own way, and it does not necessarily mean that it's wrong. But when he is aggressive towards one person and he seems to be praising the others, he then sends a wrong message. But allow the questioning of each member of parliament to go on the way they want it to present. But what I was worried about is that there are some instances where the honorable members will seem to be more relaxed towards a particular witness that appears here and don't probe it. So when I'm here, I expect the fireworks to come my direction, and not only the applauding what I'm doing. I might appreciate, yes, it's human to talk good about me and to show me that you appreciate. Yes, I appreciate that. But there are things that you need to get to find out. So you should not put back and ask questions in future. Well, you've done now, this is the end. But I would have expected in future that you become aggressive to everyone as you are aggressive. Honorable James and everyone else will experience that. And until we come and we present before you why are we saying what we are saying and why we're doing what you're doing, you don't necessarily say, pass a comment of a judgment that you're going to put in a report. You acknowledge what we are saying. You pose a question, you get an answer, you take note. If that answer doesn't satisfy you, you get a conclusion and say, Mkhwanazi is smoking something here. Make a note. Don't tell Mkhwanazi in the face that. Because on the outside person who's in the favor of Mkhwanazi, they'll judge you. So, and the person talks something that you like, don't make it visible that hey, I'm excited about this, what this man is doing. Take note of it. Make a note of it so that when you deliberate, when you're together, you are able to say, these are facts, this is fiction. And this is what we must do going forward. Then you come up with a report. So we must guard against that in the future. That is my only observation that I had, and I thought when I have an opportunity, I'll address it. And I did raise it when the chair gave me the opportunity earlier.
Then, General, just with reference to that diagram, you provided us a diagram that listed some of the, or at least only 2 of the syndicate members that you've identified during your investigations because they were arrested. So my question is to you, is there an update on some of the investigations, and can you maybe inform the House whether, because when you came here, you came on allegations, and we understood that all of these things were still subject to further investigations. So what have you since discovered in relation to the issues identified here in this diagram that could assist the committee when it looks at the record, and where could we find the evidence in support of that?
No, thanks. I think everything else other than the red dots that you see on the diagram involves those that's supposed to assist the police in making sure they bring the perpetrators to court and the prosecution is done correctly and the convictions are realized in court. All those other than the red dots. So whether you're a government official in the police, whether you're a government official outside the police, you're a private individual, you're part of the media, you're a parliamentarian, executive authority, on whatever role that you play, you're supposed to be assisting to catch all the reds that we see. But our frustration, honorable members, was that these officials that's supposed to help are connected one way or another with these red dots that we're looking at. And they play different roles, each one of them. So that's what we were trying to reflect on this screen, so that you get to see that we have identified each entity and the role played. We didn't give more details. We were talking about journalists. When we say agents of misinformation as a typical example, that's where you're going to find the medias. You call a professor, or a doctor, or Miss Merity Haas. I don't know what title she moves with now. Mr. Or Miss, she's not a professor. You find the Merity Haas in the black square. You're going to find the police officers. So all these people that are peddling information, that are creating problems, they are in there because they've been used and they participate. We are showing the security cluster, the top right corner. They're supposed to help us to win. But when you have the likes of Mr. McBride, that in Gabinde came to confirm his role. Remember, he said, Gabinde told me these things about IP. Gabinde was here, and he presented exactly what he told me. So, and now McBride has been elevated to state security. It is McBride that facilitated Mr. Adams' transportation with blue lights police cars to the prison in KZN through his cousin, using blue lights of the state. So these are the things that we're concerned about. We're highlighting it here. Members of this particular committee, this adhoc committee, they know for a fact that there's a case on the Louis Vuitton. Mr. Paul O'Sullivan came here and said, no, I heard it from the media. The case of Louis Vuitton is sitting at IDEC, I'm told. Cleared or not cleared, but it was at IDEC. How did it land at IDEC? It's a question, because it was an IP case. It went to ADEC because it migrated with the IP members under Sisoko when the IDEC was formed. They took these dockets with them to IDEC. Is that what the parliamentarians wanted IDEC to do? It's a question. So these are the role players that we have in our mix. To date, you heard of the minister opening a case against me at IDEC, at IPID. To date, say a year later, I was told by IP, the minister complained. A week later, no, the minister didn't complain. The same head of IP, he goes and tells the acting minister that no, this complaint came from the chief of staff. He whispers. To date, nobody tells me about what's happening within Bangani case. These are the players, officials we have in these places. So we are trying to show the picture of who does what. General Tele is here communicating with Kat. He came here and he confirmed that. So we're trying to show that there are people here in our organization, within civil society, that are playing certain roles to allow this red to operate. Honorable Chair members, it will be one day we're sitting under the tree, maybe we'll talk, that the almost duplicate of what we know as union building in South Africa was run in the farm that belonged to one Mr. Mswati in Pretoria, where politicians will account, business people will account, the whole lot will account. Give the list of those that have made a turn that they've had to account, you'll be shocked. So when you have such, and we see that Mswati is no more, and someone else is taking over from him, the name that the media even afraid to pronounce, Steve Mutsumi, amongst others, and nobody says anything about it, it means we are allowing the bad to continue to happen. So we are having these red blocks. We're not saying they're the only ones. There are mainly red blocks. But what brought about the letter of the minister was as a result of these ones. There are many others that we still need to attend to.
Yes, General, just on that, because we've also been paying attention to what's been happening at the Matlanga Commission and also in front of this committee, and it does seem that a bigger network has been exposed. So it would be correct to say that it is in fact a bigger network, and there appears to be serious concern that, like you've indicated, senior officials in SAPS indicating that they fear some of the individuals implicated in the cartel and syndicates.
It is that bad. We expose, honorable members, the activities of law enforcement. Amongst them was Metro Police. You've seen what has happened with the Gurulin. There's even a witness that was killed. And who kills the witness, allegedly, is an ex-colleague of mine, not just a police officer, but the member of the Special Task Force, the person that worked under my command. I was involved on that Saturday arrest, assisting the team to get him. It is that bad. The owner of the security company that gave him a firearm reached out and said, we had issued this man with a firearm that resembled the caliber of the gun that was used at Witness D. Please come and fetch it. Take it to ballistic and test it. I hope and pray that it is the gun that was used, because if it is, then we have a serious problem. But I'm grateful to that security guy for coming out and say, hey, I want to assist. I do not know if this is a gun he used or not, but he used to use this gun. And the gun is an AK that has got a mounting for this aim point on top. For those guns, once you have an aim point on top, it takes a second to release that shot accurately. The witness was killed. These are events that unfolded after. We might say we are grateful for what has been discovered, but we're also worried because there are still other people that are in danger as these things are unfolding. When you hear the general saying, we are afraid to call the names of certain people, it tells of the extent of danger that is out there.
Are there currently, and this is my last question before I hand over to Advocate Arendse, are there investigations against these senior officials that subsequently have been initiated?
Well, there are investigations. There is investigations against Gerald Spear that I know of. Gerald Shibiri that appeared, did not come here, but he appeared in Pretoria. And there are many other officials that are implicated. Ngosi, such and Ngosi is one of them. But there are others that I did not know whether the investigation has been launched, and some of them recently I've learned. Typical example is a general that was modeling in front of you here. There's investigations that has been lodged because of the behavior and the things she said. I don't know if you listened to what she had said on the record to Jarosbia when Sibia recorded it. I would like to play it here so they can hear the person that you were appreciating to be one of the honorable members says you ran a good opportunity of becoming a national commissioner. This is a typical person that was here that portray a certain image. He's one of us. I raised a complaint about that so that investigations can be done, and I'm told that there's investigations conducted. But this is a typical example of how manipulative police officers can be in getting their ways.
I'll ask Mr. Romano to play the recording, but I'm handing over to Mr. Arunsa.
The Sibia recording.
There's the recording between General Sibia and General Sentumule.
You can already play it there. We want me to play it.
Do you want to play it?
I can find it.
I can also send it to Mr. Romano.
Yeah, please do.
Okay.
Please play it there.
Okay.
So this is, honorable members, just for you to see that everyone that appears before you, don't say Mkhwanazi is 100%. Honorable Saul says even Mkhwanazi got holes. I agree. We all have got our downfalls. So, but put a straight face, throw questions, don't celebrate, we walk out. You make your decisions. That's what I'm asking for. So Sentumule comes here with their own things. And when she walks out here, she's more like a celebrity. And even some members are even thinking that, this is a potential person. I removed her at Crime Intelligence in 2012. Nobody asked why. Just so you know, her history. So he's a person who acts to be doing good, but when she speaks to Sbia, you can tell it is not a good person. When I presented, I said I had experience of manipulation of resources of crime intelligence back in 2012. And there's not much change to date. Not much of the change has happened. So it's there are many other things that we might not raise, but yeah, we can talk the whole day. Do you have the video?
I've sent it to Mr. Romano. He's going to play it just now. But just while we edit, General, you said nobody asked why she was removed, or that you have in fact removed her from crime intelligence. Now that we have you here, would you be able to tell us why you removed her from crime intelligence?
It is all because of this abuse of secret fund account. Attending functions and parties, chat gatherings and stuff like that should not be attended. Using the money. Honorable Chair and members, in 2011-12 when I was acting, I asked the entire management of crime intelligence to move away temporarily while we launch an investigation. Unfortunately, I couldn't finish that because Jarapia came in and she put other people in there. There were a lot of wrong that we saw at the time that we're trying to deal with, that we didn't get to. There are many crime intelligence officials that are benefiting on the wrong. I'm sure the National Commission will have presented before you how Jaral Khan, the darling of some of the members in this committee, has been receiving payment on the lease of his own property to the police using secret fund account, amongst others. So there are too many wrong within crime intelligence been happening that we couldn't. So Jaral Sentumule was there at crime intelligence, the abuse of the secret fund account and the resources of crime intelligence that led into a removal. Without getting too much into details about it, but I'm the one that removed it. And fast forward, she becomes a general head of investigations in the police. Don't ask me how it happened. I must say, honorable members, that clip is not in English, so I'm not sure, Advocate, whether you were able to, for those that can hear Zulu, because in summary, it is Jaran Sentumule talking to Jaral Sibia on the phone call that Jaral Sibia recorded. And Jarosibia goes to the Madlanga Commission and he says, I recorded Jarosibia Tumule because Jarosibia Tumule had gone to the National Commissioner and he said things that I did not say. So now that I'm talking to Sintumule, I want to make sure that I can trust this person. That's why I'm recording it. That's what Sbia said. So he recorded Sintumule. And the recording, Sintumule is the one who's doing more talking than what Jarosibia is talking. And Sintumule is blaming the PKTT. Sintumule is rubbishing. Colonel Kumalo even said, me and Colonel Kumalo, I think we're brothers or father and son. She made all sorts of allegations unprovoked by SBA. She voluntarily just said all these nasty things about all of us. And at the end, the conclusion, I'm not a closer person, I got someone to translate the words that she used at the end. I don't know who was she giving those, I don't know, is it what, mene, get, or something like that. Do you know that word? What is the word that she used? She used a word, funny word, that implies that her own boss has got no backbone or something like that. I wrote a complaint to the National Commission to investigate this. Because you can't have a general that behaves like this. If Sibia did not talk about it at Madlanga, we would not have known. And she acts as if, no, she was trying to, she is an intelligence person, yes, she comes from intelligence. She can manipulate and infiltrate people. So she spoke to Sbia about this thing long, honorable members, before these letters, I believe, of Sbia. She was in support, 100% of it. She can't turn around and say, Sbia wrote these letters, I didn't agree with it. But when you listen to her on the recording, it tells you that she was in full support. She even said Kumalo was moving around with Lucky. Lucky is me. Even Sbia asked, who is Lucky? He said, no, Jaram Mkhwanazi. This Kumalo has been moving around with Mkhwanazi, was a driver of Mkhwanazi, is this, is this, is this, Mkhwanazi, all the way. This is the general that came before you. That's what I'm saying. Before you can say Mkhwanazi is a good man, listen to Mkhwanazi, take notes, make your conclusions. Because you're going to come and applaud Mkhwanazi in the presence. When you turn around, someone is going to walk in here and say Mkhwanazi is this and that, like I'm doing now. So this is just a plea to the parliamentarians that in future, anyone who is in front of you, trust them as the South Africans. Trust that they are honest with what they're telling you, but don't show that much support in your face. Until you go back behind doors, you analyze what they were telling you, gather other evidence, you make conclusions. Then you'll know this one, no, it's not to be trusted. That's all I'm asking for.
Okay, General. Honorable Chair, can we break at this point? And hopefully we can get the recording up and running. And then immediately after lunch, we would require another 30 minutes.
Look at the honorable member behind you. You can shake your head again. He's looking at you. Show him that you disagree. Honorable Skosan.
Chair, thank you very much. I'm just worried about time, Chair. I know that the issue of time, that we should not rush anything here. You, in your benevolence, you said you're going to give us 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes. Now, I'm looking at the time, and I'm looking at all the members who are here. I know that we scheduled for 2 days, but we said we want to finish today. But if it means last time, some members complained about that we are knocking off, we are no longer productive if we are kept here until the early hours of the morning. Now, I'm not sure about other members. If they are compatible, it's fine. We can go up to 4 o'clock. But which means that we'll be out here around 1 in the morning. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, I want you to break for lunch, and during your break, you will talk between and amongst yourselves. And then you will come back at 2 and tell me you are granting the evidence leader a further 30 minutes. When you come back, I need a report from you, honorable members. You are under the leadership of the chief whip here. When I make a decision here, I must make your decision. May you please stand up and leave the chambers and come back at 2 o'clock.